right, who could help them to provide diversified investment options for investors generally, right? So we believe that these rules or policies coming to the market should have more positive impacts than any negative impact if we're going to have any in general.
Now let's talk about the role of technology in all of this, but this time technological advancement, like
unusual activities, right, to your account, it tends to be flagged, right? Having this into the trading into the system, we also prevent fraud, right, and ensure more transparency and leads to you seeing a lot of fraudulent activities being flagged in the system.
Now, what do you think investors should look out for when choosing a stockbroker to ensure that they are working with a legitimate and trustworthy operator? Because I feel like it is really important that investors are also informed about making the right decisions.
Very much. So one thing is we are in the kind of generation we are in is the fact that you just trying to say, oh, I just want to do everything on my phone, easy access, right? In as much as we want that, right, it's best for every one of us to do due diligence, right? There's always a way, right? Investors can always confirm, right, whether a broker is registered or with SEC, right, before engaging with them, right? Like we mentioned earlier on, right, the new journalists that the SEC is introducing. We also help investors to track record and reputation of various firms. And we've also seen the exchange publishing performances of brokers, right, generally. So all these, when you check track record and reputation, understand the transparency in fee structures, right, for companies, for brokers generally, right. All this will help investors to identify legitimate and trustworthy stockbrokers before engaging in any investment activities.
Now, it's the third month of the year, and the year is still very long. Now, given the Security and Exchange Commission's focus on cracking down on illegal operators, what do you foresee for the future of Nigeria's capital market in 2025 and beyond?
So one thing is we do have a 1 trillion economy target, right? So we believe that having all these policies and regulatory activities in place, right, would improve market integrity, right, and also lead to more global recognition, right? It's not far-fetched, right? Because when you have all these transparencies in place, right, you expect that to lead to more foreign and institutional investment in the market, right, which will show, which make them show more interest in Nigeria assets, right. You will also see a more introduction of various market instruments, market products, right, and also the role of technology being in place, right. We make all these likes of fraudulent activities, fraud detection available, and you'll be able to do lots of trading activities, right, in terms of algorithm trading, which will enhance activities, right, and improve the capital market landscape. So very much sure that going to the year and beyond, right, when you have a very well-regulated environment, a transparent market, right, this will definitely lead to more encouragement or participation from both retail and institutions, right, in the market, which definitely should lead to more capital market growth, right? And if the capital market is growing, definitely our venture, you would expect that the economy also grow.
Well, equity and fixed income sales trader at CSL Stockbrokers Limited, Joshua Joseph, many thanks for lending your thoughts on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. Well, that's it on this episode of the program. Many thanks for joining us. I'm Okbayemi Owosheni. See you next time.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
Because when you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians have said in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
My name is Bintu Salihu Garba, IGB. From secondary school, I moved on to Kano Polytechnic. That's where I started painting. And I'm happy I was the first female to start painting the Kano State. When I was a child, I used to draw. By then, I didn't know what painting was. I guess you understand what I mean. Then my uncle, then Aladidia, late, he now took us to London. That's where I saw paintings of master's paintings, very beautiful ones at the National Gallery of Art in England. So from there on, I just love painting and I pick up interest from there. But I noticed after every painting, a painter will now inscribe his name at the bottom of the painting. That was what inspired me. I said, boy, I would love to paint and then inscribe my name on that. From there on, I just pick up drawing and then I continue drawing. From there, it just assists to painting. Honestly, if you say dominated by men, possibly it is only here in Kano that painting is dominated by men. Other places, women do painting. If you say challenges, well, there are quite a lot of challenges, but I was able to go through it because the men I'm working with then, they were also helping me to see that as a female, they kept encouraging me, even the lecturers, they encouraged me to paint. So I now pick up painting and I continue doing it, and I truly, really worked hard to get to where I am today. I started teaching drawing I got employed into Kano State Senior Service Management Board, that is secondary school. So I continue drawing, painting, and then teaching at the same time, and then making money from there, because it's a job. It is what I do. You understand? It's what I do. I teach painting, I paint. People tend to commission me for some paintings. Some of them I will say flowers, some fruits, some vegetables, etc. I just continue doing it, and that's how I tend to make it as a business. As I've earlier mentioned, I told you I've been teaching for past decade now. You understand? So I guess I am passing this knowledge down. Now that I've come to this age, I'm in my studio, I allow teenagers to come. I teach them painting free of charge. Some of them, all they do is to buy the materials themselves. And then I do teach them, I do coach them, because you don't teach painting, you coach. It is some talent, like person has talent, and then you now coach him, you develop his skill. You understand? So that is what I do now. I get teenagers and even adults. Some of them are even interested. They do come to my studio and ask me, "Pa, I would like to paint." I would like, fine and good, since it is what I've been doing for over 30 years now. So I now find it easier to even teach anyone that is even interested in painting. For over 30 years. I cannot tell precisely how many. Like I told you, it is school. I teach in school and I take many classes. You understand? And I've taught in so many schools now in Kano. So many schools. And all of these schools, no class is less than 45 students that I taught. For the past 30 years, that is what I have been doing. So how many I teach now, I cannot tell. But I know I have taught a lot of people painting. The outcome of it now, I can see people are developing interest in painting, and alhamdulillah, they see female in it. People are now coming out to appreciate painting. Like though I forgot to mention to you that we have this Society of Nigerian Artists. We are shouting out to people, getting people, reaching to them, so that they will now understand painting, and that it is not only drawing, it is a way of life, because some people don't even know that painting is a profession. They don't know it. So now myself and members of the society, we are reaching out to people to get them to understand painting and drawing as well. Over the years, my painting, I delve mostly in culture. Any environment I find myself, I now tend to go into I see the culture, the kind of people that are there, like I now work with what they have there. My painting is mostly culture and educative as well. anytime we hold an art exhibition, I do sell painting. And besides, when I was in school, visitors used to come and buy my paintings. That is why I lost count of my paintings. Then I didn't know I should be counting them. As I'm working, people tend to come in and appreciate the work. By the time I'm working, they will tell me, okay, if you are through with this, I'm going to buy it. Some, by then, I even used to give it free of charge. I didn't know it is something that I should be counting or something I should keep as a sign. But much later now, I come to realize that every piece of my painting is like
Hello and welcome to another electrifying episode. E360 is back with more exciting contents than ever before, and I am your host Queen, bringing you the latest in the world of entertainment, music, fashion, food, culture, anything you can think of entertainment. I got you covered. So now, before we go into what we have today, let's take the latest in the world of entertainment. First on the list, we have the iHeartRadio Musical Award, which took place yesterday. That was on the 17th of March, and it's really amazing seeing our Nigerian superstars like Burna Boy, Tems, Davido being nominated in the 2025 Musical Awards. So Davido, who is a Grammy nominated, who has been nominated in the Grammys, and Tems, Burna Boy literally all had like a category they were nominated for, and it's really amazing. I'm really happy seeing like our stars coming up. Like Nigeria is known now because of these people, and it's really amazing. So last on the list, second on the list rather, we have Love in Every Word. Trust me, I'm not going to skip this entertainment news if I don't talk about this movie. This movie has gone everywhere. Like everyone is talking about Odogu Panarapa, blah blah blah. Like, and this movie was directed by Omoni Oboli, newly released movie Love in Every Word, and likes of Bam Bam, which is 30 years wife, our BB Nigerian star. We have our own Odoguda's Uzo, and every other character in the movie actually nailed this movie. This movie was good. It trended on TikTok, Instagram, and every other platforms. Like, it was really amazing, and they are hitting waves. So last on the list, we have Timine's Real Love movie, and it's coming to I think it's already out. So it has dominated Nollywood box office, and it has generated 303 million naira so far, and it's really trendy right now, and the movie is leading. So everyone should grab their popcorns and go to the cinema to see this movie. Let's all relax and wind down this month, or maybe during this season. So today we're diving into world of modeling. So sit back, we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to the studio. So here with me is a model and the Guinness World Record holder for the longest distance walked on a catwalk by a model. Here is Ololade Ayela Bola. Hello and welcome.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Same, you look amazing.
Thank you.
Oh, how does it feel? I'm really feeling like, oh, you're all upright and well placed and everything.
Thank
you look amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. So how has the journey been, and how have you been able to, how do you feel being like a Guinness World Record holder? Just tell me about it.
I'm honored.
Okay.
Yes, I'm honored and grateful to all my supporters and fans for pushing me, supporting me to attempt the record and to break the record.
Okay. So when was this? When did it happen?
It happened on 1st of October to the 6th of October 2024 in the University of Lagos Sports Center.
Okay, good. So why this particular record? Tell me about it, because it seems like it's new, like it's not everywhere.
Okay, so this record was set 41 years ago by two women.
See, a long time ago. That's why you mean it's not right.
Yes, and I attempted this record because of what happened last year.
Okay.
So I auditioned for 2 fashion weeks, and the panelists were like, oh, you worked so well, but you are short. Like, you don't fit. I'm like, I'm 5'8". How can you say I'm short?
True.
So I started thinking to myself that if in the modeling and fashion industry we cannot embrace inclusivity and diversity, then we are not ready to evolve.
Okay.
So I said, okay, I'll just create a runway for myself where we're going to have models from different backgrounds, different shapes, skin conditions, tribal marks, and then we're going to work together on the runway to tell everybody that irrespective of where they are coming from or what they are facing or what they are going through or the challenges they are facing in their area of life or whatever aspect of life that they are in, they can dare to dream and achieve their dreams.
I like that. I like that. So now you have like a voice in the society. What do you stand to change or like make a difference?
Okay, so I stand to ensure that we have a more inclusive society where the voice of everybody matters, where people understand that no voice is too big and no voice is too small, and that everybody understands that their dreams are powerful and that their dreams are valid, and to know that the world can only truly evolve when we dare to dream and when we act on our dreams.
Okay, good. So let's talk about like the creative process, physical and mentally, like how were you when you just so tell me about it. Let's take it one at a time.
Okay, so intensive training started for me for about 6 months prior to the event, because I had to engage in both medical checkup, physical checkup. I had to change my diet entirely, and then I'm treating ulcer, like I treat ulcer, so it was chaotic. And then putting the funds together, the event was, the estimated cost for the event was about 240 million.
Wow.
I wrote 120 brands, nobody responded.
Oh my God.
Nobody was willing to be a part of it. So, I mean, it was very chaotic because I had to be sure that I was ready. My body was ready for the event because it was very intense. Imagine working for 5 days non-stop. I had to change my outfit within 50 seconds. I had to walk a 63.547 meters long runway within 50 seconds to 1 minute. It was very intense.
Oh my God. So let's just say that's like a long, like imagine it. And
that's like walking from Lagos to Ibadan and a little further.
Can you imagine? Like that's crazy actually. But I'm so happy like you're able to achieve it. And now let's talk about family and supporters. How were you able to like push on, like being motivated throughout the process? Did you get tired and say, oh, I'm not going to do this again or something?
Well, to be truthful, at some point during preparation, I was like, okay, so I'm this kind of a person that when I say I want to do something, I get it done.
Okay.
Like, I get it done by God's grace. I get it done. So, the funny thing is, I can tell my friend 1,000 times that, you know what, I'm not doing it again. But 1 million times, I'm telling the whole team, you guys get ready, we are getting this done, we are going after this. Okay. So, I had supportive people, my family members, my friends, they were around. They didn't sleep. Nobody slept for 7 days.
Oh my God.
Yes, because 2 days prior to the event, they had to be there to set up. All through the event, 5 days, nobody slept.
Oh.
Seeing my aunts, my uncles, my dad, everybody cheering me up, my team members, the models, everybody was there. They took leave from their place of work and they were there clapping and celebrating me. So yeah, I wasn't ready to give up.
Oh my God, that was really amazing. And I saw videos like everyone cheering up, blowing whistles, like go girl. And it's really amazing. You have good people on your side and people that actually push you forward to like do what you actually want to do. So now let's talk about like few challenges that you must have faced during the process. Is there like any major challenge? Tell me about it. Let's talk about it.
Okay, so I'll start with the cost.
Oh yeah,
I mentioned 240 million naira. We had to borrow.
Oh, okay.
We had to borrow to get the event running, and then after the amounts we paid down payments we made to the vendors got exhausted. Some started dragging the stage. They wanted to take out the stage on day 3, and I was headed to day 5. So that was a major problem. Yes, all my toenails got lost. Like the 10. Like there's a video of you would literally see my bone on the last toenail. It was opened and it was a lot of pain, and I had to just push through and ensure that I break the record. So yeah, it was chaotic.
Oh, okay, but that's sad. I'm so sorry about that. Because so now let's just say when you heard about it, how did you celebrate? Like, did you know you were going to actually break it?
Look at you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't start something I can't finish.
Oh, good.
And I trust God. I believe God so much. When I start something, I believe it's going to get done. Nothing dies in my hands. Nothing fails in my hands. So
I love that.
I was not going to start to either. In fact, my leg was bandaged, either in one piece or in. I knew I was going to break that record.
Okay.
At some point, they had to soak me inside ice. I had ice beads. I screamed. It was so painful. But I had to keep working because I was here for a reason. I was there for a reason. Yeah. And then I had to ensure that very reason is being fulfilled.
Okay. So how did you celebrate? Like, when you got the news, what was it like? How did you feel? How did it set in that, okay, I've broken a record. I am this.
Do you know that it has, I believe it will never truly set in. Like, finally set in. Every time I just have a flashback or I see the certificate, I'm like, wow, this really happened. I mean, when I got the email, I was shooting for my convocation. Oh. And when I got the email from Guinness World Record, I crowed. I didn't say I cried. I crowed. Like, I crowed. Of course, cried.
Yeah.
And then my makeup artist was like, I'm not going to shout because, of course, it's a thing of joy. I was in shock, in good shock. And after, I will still carry the flag and be like, we did
Am I the
this.
one?
Yeah, so it's been, I don't think it's something I'm going to recover from. And I'm excited that I'm not going to recover from that experience.
Oh, I'm really, really happy about that. So let's go on a short break. We'll be right back. Guys, stay with us. We'll go on a short break. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere.
I wanted a runway where everybody could showcase their talents and where we could inspire others. Majority of the clothes were Nigerian paste clothes. This was the opening dress. The flag of Nigerian color is green, white. Green symbolizing productivity, white representing peace and unity. For every step I took on the catwalk and on the runway, I was taking a walk against stereotypes and challenges that were faced in the modeling and fashion industry. Dare to dream and make your dream a reality.
Welcome back to the studio, guys. So, Ololade, let's talk about like any advice or like words of encouragement you have for like young girls looking up to you and people out there that have faced the challenges you have. Like, just tell us about any advice or any encouragement you'd like to like say to everybody.
So, my advice to everybody, young, old, male or female, we dare to dream. And what does that mean? No matter what your dream is, either it is big, either it is small, as long as you can dream, you should dare to dream and take the first step to achieving your dreams. The world truly only evolves when we dream and when we take the first step to act on it. We see technology today, it's a product of dreams and someone taking the first step to achieve that particular dream. So to everybody watching me, wherever you are watching me from, do dare to dream. Thank you.
Thank you. That was lovely. Laura, I'll wait to watch. I'm like, okay. I need to pick like a record I want to break now because I feel motivated and everything. Yay. So now let's talk about the mental process. Trust me. I don't know. I can't even imagine what you went through, but I want you to share. It's like, let's talk about the mental process. How did you say to yourself that this is what I want and this is what I was going to do?
So the truth is, I actually even applied 5 times. I got 5 rejections.
Wow, that's a lot.
The record, yes, the record I was applying for had never existed before. And when I get to like the final stage, they just send me an email saying, "Oh, your record doesn't meet the standard." But then this is the 6th application, and then finally, I'm a record holder.
So like you were not even like not motivated at the point, like you kept on pushing and pushing and pushing.
See, that's the power of dreams. When you have a dream, there should be a passion that keeps you going until you get that thing done. I don't want to see people, oh, there's a little bit of challenge and then you're like backing out. No, true. We should pursue, fight, keep going at it till you get it done. I think that's the spirit everybody should have.
Yes, yeah. So now, were there like any discouragements you had from friends, families?
Yes.
So that how did they look at you like, okay, I'm now the record holder? So
someone even said it to my face. I would not be surprised if your attempt flops. To my face, yes. A lot. Like, I had a lot of things. Some people were like, oh, she doesn't have money, she's attempting a record. They said a lot of negative things, but I mean, that doesn't matter. We have the record, we have the plaque now, all thanks to God and to everybody who made it a success.
Okay. So can you give us, like, maybe a few details of, like, the hours made by the former record holder, like, and why yours is different?
Okay, so the former record holders, because there were 2.
Okay.
Yes, there were 2. Was 48 hours and they did 114 kilometers. Yes. Okay. So I think they merged the kilometers each person covered together. And that's why theirs was faster, 48 hours. Oh. But mine, a single person had to break their record that was set by 2 people. Yeah, so that was why mine took 103 hours.
That's a lot.
Yes, it is.
Oh my God, I don't know. I'm really motivated by like your confidence and passion towards getting what you want. Like, don't worry, I'm going to bring my own record. So now, let's talk about you. I noticed you're going for contesting for Miss Nigeria, and I voted. So I have. So like, just tell me about it. Miss World, rather.
Yes.
So tell me about it.
I'm contesting for Miss World Nigeria,
2025.
It's actually formerly known as the most beautiful girl in Nigeria. Yeah, so they just changed the rebranded, and now it's called Miss World Nigeria. Why am I attempting Miss World Nigeria? We dare to dream. You all know that. And I'm attempting Miss World Nigeria to even give the world a bigger avenue to be a part of my community, with Dare to Dream community, such that everyone who has a dream and everyone who is willing to dare to dream can be a part of an active, a positive, and a progressive community, whereby you are constantly inspired to dare to dream, and whereby you are empowered by leaders in different sectors and support you and give you what you need to be able to achieve and pursue your dreams. So basically, it's just a progression of what I have started, and just having a bigger audience to push the advocacy.
That's a good platform. Okay, so like, is there any projects you may be looking at working on, any thing you want to change in the society, or like something you want to bring up or like start new in the society? Is there any new projects you have so far?
We Dare to Dream community, and that is what I'm doing. Soon we are going to be having biannual event whereby we are going to be having people from all over Nigeria and all over the world. In fact, all over the world coming. And then you're going to be meeting with industry leaders. You get to ask them questions, and then we plan on having mentorship. So you are going to have a membership card, and you might be lucky enough to be selected by one of the industry leaders to get direct mentorship from them. So that's the plan. We are launching very soon.
Oh,
you
good.
should enroll.
Yes, I will.
You should enroll.
I will definitely enroll. So now, is there any like, are you looking at any new record you want to like? Do you, because of the process, do you really think you want to like get into anyone again?
No,
for
not now. You guys now.
You've tried really. So is there any other thing you stand to achieve after now, apart from Miss World Nigeria? Is there any other projects you
know, they say time sees reveal everything. I want my supporters, my community to stay glued, to keep watching, because I'm going to be in all of your faces for as long as the Lord gives me grace to keep living on earth. So yes, keep watching and stay tuned.
Okay, so after this, let's just say your team and supporters you've had so far, are they like, is it something like you want to still hold on to? For example, you've had good supporters. I'm really happy for that, and you have people here as well that have like helped you throughout the whole process. So are they like, how will I put this now? What will you say, like advice, or what will you applaud to like your supporters and your team members and people that have helped you come this far? So like any word you have to say to them and all.
Truth is, I see so many of my supporters and my team members as family now, and that's actually very important to me. One thing that saved me and helped me during my record is the gift of relationship. There were a lot of things that got fixed and got sorted out because I had people who saw what I was saying, who believed, and then who sacrificed to be a part of it. So I want to say a very big thank you to everybody that has been following me, everybody that has been a part of my journey, and everybody that will be a part of my journey in days and years to come. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful, and God bless you.
Okay, thank you. So is there another word like you'd like to share to us, and any other thing you want us to do? Maybe vote for you, for Miss World, and all like that. Anything you want to share?
Everyone, please, I am Ololade Ayelabola, proudly representing Oyo State, contestant number 20. You can go to Instagram at the Miss World Nigeria page. You would find a link attached to their bio. Kindly click on the link, scroll down to contestant number 20, and vote for me. And guess what? Voting is unlimited. A vote costs 200 naira. You can vote up to 500 times, 1,000 times, 5,000 times, as many as you want. Let's go to the world and let's create and make a change. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was lovely. Okay, so now let's go on a short break. We'll be right after now. So guys, we're going on a short break. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, guys. So before we end this game, let's take like just 60 seconds, 10 questions for 60 seconds. So right, garbage in, garbage out. Okay. So favorite celebrity couple?
I love the Ateres and the Okopi.
Oh, good. So most outstanding day of your life?
I think every day has been outstanding for me, and that's the truth.
Okay. So football, basketball?
Football.
Oh, you prefer it?
Yes.
Okay. So favorite relaxation sport?
On my bed.
Your bed?
Yes.
So movies and novels?
Movies.
Okay.
I used to be a fan of novels, and that I had like a library full of novels, but movies, please.
Okay.
I think these days.
It's faster. So a favorite city or place like you dream of to go to?
What's that place again?
Zanzibar.
Zanzibar.
Okay,
Yes,
good. For
Zanzibar.
summer, banging.
Yes.
I know. So let's say favorite indoor sport?
My house.
Okay. Favorite food?
Amala, ewedu, begiri, shakit.
Very good. So mention one thing on your bucket list you'd like to take off.
Miss World Nigeria, Miss World Global.
And you will get it.
Amen.
So if you're given $10,000 to stay in a well-furnished apartment for a month without anybody, maybe just food and internet, will you stay without stepping out? $10,000.
1 month.
Should we make it 6?
I know, don't make it 6.
Oh, that means you can stay without.
I can. I think I will stay. You know the money.
The money?
I will
without
take it.
anybody.
Without anybody.
Yes, just you.
Just me.
And food and
food. There's Wi-Fi.
Yes, Wi-Fi.
There's.
You take it.
Everybody will be fine without me. I'm taking vacation, so
Yes.
they'll just assume I'm not around.
Sure. So it's a yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so thank you so much for coming.
Thank
I'm
you.
really, really happy seeing you. And I've learned like so much from you and everything. And I wish
Glad you are.
you well and
Thank
going
you
ahead
so
and all.
much.
Thank you so much. So guys, that's all we can take on this episode. Thank you so much for staying with us. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.
Ayetoro community is a theocratic communist setting funded by a group of believers known as the Apostles in 1947. Ayetoro community in its heydays has the largest per capita income in the whole of West Africa. Initially, Ayetoro community was 15 to 20 kilometer landmass away from the sea. But as it stands now, more than 10 kilometers of the total landmass has gone into the sea. And this frequent surge is attributed to emission from multinational oil companies off the coasts of our land, not minding the environmental challenges and disasters.
This is a community established in one of the Nigeria base. A lot of people you see in the offshore were trained here, both mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, and nautical engineer were trained in this bush. Yes, this bush, I call this place bush. And this is the Shepherd Technical Workshop approved by the IWD, which is now Minister of Transport. IWD means the Inland Waterway Department. That is the colonial time.
This place is like small London. So, and our primary occupation here is fishing. You can see now, everything now has been eroded. Some of our fishermen, they have went to other places to find for their source of livelihood.
It's just a sudden that we have been experiencing corruption coming every day by day. And since that time, we have been making effort to the federal government because we are law-abiding citizens. We believe that we cannot engage ourselves in a radical ways because we believe that by protesting, writing letters, federal government can come to our aid. By the videos, a lot of things we have been doing since we have expressing the Sea Church.
I'm shooting.
That area, that is the iconic worship center. Yeah, that wood. That is the iconic worship center. Over there, we have the community service center here, over there. Then at the same time, the major streets where other minor streets were linked to has been permanently submerged by the ocean surge.
I'm seriously worried. I'm worried because this recurrency surge is affecting us in virtually all human aspects of our life. Social life has been collapsed, economic-wise has been collapsed, health-wise, nothing to sing and dance home about. Even our religious activities, our life, religious life, has been collapsed totally. Because Ayeto community is a religious setting. The church moved here. We have not just come here to trade or to do other activities. The church is the community is the church. So every aspect of our life has been totally, damaged by this current, recurring sea surge happening in Ayeto. Over 20 years, we've been into this. People have lost, several properties worth millions. Buildings has collapsed. Over 500 to 600 to 700 buildings have been washed away. Our industrial power has been collapsed. Ayeto community is known to be a self-developed community on its own without any intervention of the federal government or the state government over the years. Yet we kept on going. If by now the ocean surge as a result of the oil exploration that is going on in our offshore is destroying our land. Up till now, we cannot see the hand of the government coming to help and to rescue us. It is so sad, and that's why I'm worried.
Ṣé ẹ bá wo gbogbo ibi ilé ló kún bẹ̀, gbogbo ilé yẹn ni òkun ti parẹ́ pátápátá. Bó dẹ̀ ṣe ń wó ilé yẹn ló ń wó gbogbo àwọn ohun àlùmọ́nì wa, àwọn ohun tí a ní ilé, ẹrù wa, ìmí gan tó bá ń wo báyìí tí a bá tètè dìsámúra àti gbà lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ ó gbé gbogbo ẹ̀ lọ nìyẹn.
Fund the trip of those guys. Trip of those guys.
This thing is excruciating, it is extreme. In fact, every blessed day, people used to die because of the thinking that the community that was founded at their present has been eroded. So it is extreme, it is serious, it is harrowing.
My father's house happened to be the extreme house before the Atlantic Ocean. We lost it 2017. 2007, that was when we lost it. It's highly devastating. Even the one that belonged to my grandmother, we lost it. That was along primary school road. We lost it too. So I've been affected. I'm highly devastated. Now I'm a tenant in my hometown. Imagine how is it? Highly devastating. We need support of the entire world to save this community. Ayeto community is a community that must not go into extinction. It's a very serious situation.
So the community is divided into two, the up and the down. So the up is reserved for the male. Why do you do that? Because they want them to access the sea quickly because of the occupation they engage in. Then the downside is reserved for the female so that they can dry their fishes because the Atlantic breeze is, it's coming from the up. So that the smoke will not disturb the community from up. That was why they situated the downside for the women so that their kitchen can be downside. So you have Bale, Abejoye, Korodun, Aneroye, Adedoyin, Alebiosun, Bishop, Arojolu. Then so after Arojolu you have the information house or the glass house as we used to call it.
So where's the glass house now?
It's gone already.
It's surmount already.
That is where all the information regarding the Aito community, people coming just like you came now. All the information you buy your trip, what you are going to do, when you are going to, you go back. So it will be documented before you go into the community. That was how it was done then. Then the city hall or civil center, there too, all of them have gone. After the city hall, you have Ojomo Street is gone too. So behind Ojomo, you have the church building, the church street and the church building. Is gone already.
And that church is very important.
Very important. Community. That is where they situated that night of January 12, 1947. They situated when they came in. Now we have Akinjoye, we have Ajayi. Then in Ajayi Street, you have the first Ogeloyinbo Palace built with wood. So that one is gone too. We have the Olowojayi. Then after Olowojayi, you have the shoe making industry.
There used to be a shoemaking
industry. One of the industry, a small scale industry. Then behind the shoemaking industry, you have the clothing making industry too. So that one too is gone. So we have after Olowojayi, behind it is the shoemaking and the clothing making. We have Olowo Topa Oyinbo. We have Omogbenwa. Then after Omogbenwa, we have the carpentry workshop. So the carpentry workshop too is currently threatened. Half of it is gone into into the sea. And then you have Tobase. Then you have after the Tobase street there, you have a mini supermarket. There's a mini supermarket there. So after the mini supermarket is where you have Oyetomi Street. So from the upside,
where's the mini supermarket?
This is just behind the what's it called?
But it's still there.
We can still find it there. So after the the mini supermarket, you have Oyetomi Street. So from the main side now, the main streets, Oyetomi Street is the only surviving street you can find up.
And it's been threatened.
It's threatened. In almost we only have just 2 buildings.
That is where my mother's father's house was situated, and it has been eroded.
Just 2 houses.
And your fear now is that this side, where the female side might be affected. Yes. So it's like everybody has moved to this side now.
Yes. So most of the male now, they are actually residing with their
watching with their wives.
Their wives. So the Oyetomi is the only one that you see. Then from the downside where you have the
and this broad streets, it's no longer existing.
It's gone completely. Where you can have the broad street, the beauty of the broad street now, it's around the Block Palace. That's where you can have the beauty of the broad street.
Okay.
How it looks like.
Tí ẹ bá wo ọ̀hún yẹn, chọ́ọ̀chì wa gangan the main church táwọn baba ńlá wa kọ́ ó ti wo àtúnkọ́ mi ó tún wo.
The church is where all the inhabitants of this land we gather to worship God, because that was the revelation our forefathers received. This place is a Christian utopian religious community for the service of God. Has actually changed the landscape totally. Let me put it that way. Why do I say so? It's because when you look at the land mass,
as at when our founding fathers came here, 1947, it is about 20 or 10, 15 kilometers to the shore. So people had to trek. I think Dr. Noge wrote a book about Ayato community. That the only challenge is that the fishermen, because Ayato is known for fishing, the only challenges that they are having, it is the accessibility to the shore. Too. That is as at that time, and it's been a long time. So it has actually changed the landscape, and we are worried about it.
This is the community technical college. Here we are. Now you can see now these are debris has been ravaged by the sea surge. Now that place, that is the bakery that we are using before. This last month, the sea surge has ravaged this place and we've relocated to another place. So it is serious. That is the powerhouse generating plant. It has been affected, greatly affected by those sea surge. We also have dockyard over there where marine boats were built in the past. That place has been submerged as well. So nothing to write home about in the community again. All our social cultural activities has gone. The secondary schools has been relocated for about 3 consecutive times now. Nothing again.
If urgent intervention is not coming any moment from now, the community will no longer in existence, because 2/3 of the community has gone already.
My fears is that if something reasonable, prompt action is not taken on the part of government to salvage this land, perhaps we might. We don't pray for such anyway. The community might go into institution. We don't want that, because Ayato community has helped the federal government, even the West Africa, in terms of marine. Because when Ayato was having a technical school, the Ayato community has trained experts in marine engineering, in nautical engineering, and they are serving all the multinational companies that we can see in our offshore. Ayato community has built the largest fishing boat in the history of Nigeria and West Africa. It was built here by the local carpenter, and those people that even built those beauty boats, they were still alive. Check Fishing News International, is there.
If prompt and urgent action is not taken within, let me say, within a space of 2 months, where we stand here, we no longer be. So, and that is why we are appealing to the federal government as a matter of urgency and exigency to please come to our rescue, so that Ayetoro is a historic community, so that it will not become a thing of history. That is our appealing. We are appealing to the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, Dito Sopadek, Ondo State Oil Producing Area Development Commission, to please come to our rescue, so that this glorious community will not become a thing of history.
So we are begging the federal government, we are begging the international community, we are begging NDDC, we are begging all relevant agencies to please come to our aid.
Apá wa ò ká o, kàn jọ kàn má jẹ́ kó kún yìí kó gbé wa lọ, gbogbo ilé ibi iṣẹ́ wa, gbogbo ilé ìsìn tá ń pè church, gbogbo ẹ̀ ló ti wó.
I'm now appealing to the state government, federal government, and the world to give what you call immediate action on this community. If you were here about 20 years back, if we tell you the extension of this place, you can't believe.
Abdullahi Dalhatu began grape farming at Dufa Dufa village in Kudang local government area of Nigeria's northwest Kaduna state in 2003. Today, he's one of the very few Nigerian farmers growing grapes in commercial quantity in the country. And he's also the current national president of Grape Producers, Processors and Marketers Association of Nigeria.
What motivates me to go into grape farming is the potentiality associated with the grape farming activities. Because a grape farmer is raising handsome profit, is raising handsome income in grape farming. Because I doubt if there is another aspect of farming in agriculture which is highly lucrative than grape farming in Nigeria. I have started with the only one varieties of grapes called Black Hamburg. So on that time, it's only one varieties I am cultivating here, but now I am growing 7 different varieties of grapes. I have started with only 15 stand of grapes, but now I have more than 1,650 stand of grapes in this farm. Comprise the different varieties as I have said. Actually, I have started it from the small scale, but now it was a large scale.
Grape farming is rare in Nigeria. In fact, many had always thought it's almost near impossible to grow grapes in the country, since the overwhelming bulk of grapes consumed in Nigeria come from abroad.
When I saw the clip showing this project as a result of the visit of the chairman of the local government, I should be impressed, but I was also surprised and wonder whether this is also true. And that is why after the whole thing has gone viral, a lot of people within the country and outside the country have called me to ask me whether this is actually true, because they believe this is a treasure. And I told them that I will not tell them it is true, although my chairman has come and seen it, but as somebody who is within the domain and the area is within my domain, I feel I should first come and see it before I tell the whole world that this is actually true. It's not magic, it's not any photo magic, it is a reality. From what I've seen, I'm extremely happy, and I must do whatever is humanly possible to encourage the gentlemen and other people that have started this project through any means possible, intervention, government contact, any other thing that will bring more publicity to this project.
Data from the Observatory of Economic Complexity, OEC, estimates Nigeria's grapes import at over $8 million in 2023, while exporting a meager $36,000 worth of the fruit in the same year. But Dalhatu is working to change that narrative.
Since we discovered that most of the grape being consumed in Nigeria is being imported from abroad, so it's part of our vision to ensure that we promote the grape farming locally in Nigeria, so that our country will be self-sufficient in grape production, marketing, and export. So in the next future, I'm sure, in the next future time, I'm sure Nigeria the dependency of grape importation in Nigeria would reduce up to 55%, so that we can rely on our local production and reach also the level of export with Nigerian locally grape productions.
Dalhatu says grape farming has been more than rewarding, and his customer base now goes beyond the country.
Actually, the grape marketing is so friendly in Nigeria because of the quality and the quantity of grapes we are producing. We are receiving different customers across the country coming direct to the farm and take and buy our product. Even international marketers are coming direct to this farm and access our and buy our product due to its quality standard, the sugar content, the longer shelf life, and the quality of the product we are producing. We have the benefit of climate to get 2 good harvests per year, contrary to what is happening in the other countries. Based on the favorable climate we are blessed with, so we used to have a bumper harvest of 2 times in a year.
For now, Dalhatu grows only table grapes, which are widely consumed in Nigeria, but he says he's making plans to start growing wine grapes as well.
Grapes is a type of plant that has so many varieties. So Nigerian, we are only, as I told you, that we are only have the capacity to produce 7 different varieties of grapes. So we need more exotic and improved varieties, and most of that varieties are high-yielding varieties that will enable Nigeria to produce multiple numbers of tons in a harvest. So we need hybrid varieties of grape seedlings.
So far, Dalhatu has trained over 50 persons in grape farming here at his farm. Almost all his trainees have gone on to start their own grape farm. But he says grape farming comes with some familiar challenges.
One of the challenges is that inadequate water supply. Grape is a kind of plant that requires excessive application of water. So insufficient water supply is one of the factors that reducing the growth and development of grape value chain. And the second challenge is faced by our grape farmers inadequate of hybrid seed varieties. Then the third problem we are facing is the storage infrastructure facilities, because there are situations whereby our grape farmers in Nigeria used to face the risk of losses due to the rain intervention. At the point of ripening, grape farmers face the risk of rainfall, and which will lead to damage of so many tons of grapes. So if there were to be more storage facilities like a cold room, that will enable both the producer and the marketers to reduce the level of risk, because when it was stored in a cold storage, the grapes will have access for a longer time before it damage. Then another problem is all farmers need financial support. So I'm sure if government will provide financial support to grape farmers by having a conducive and favorable climatic condition for growing grapes, I'm sure the rate of unemployment will drastically reduce.
Despite the challenges, Dalhatu is still marching on, his passion for grape farming unwavering as he embarks on the ambitious mission to help make Nigeria self-sufficient in grapes. Deji Bademasi, TV360.
It's a pleasure to have you join us on the program. I am Simisola Atigun. Nigeria's National Assembly has approved President Bola Tinubu's request for emergency rule in Rivers State, a move which has continued to attract passionate debate across the country. The approval was given after both legislative chambers deliberated on the controversial suspension of Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, and the state legislature, and the federal takeover of the state's administration following the political crisis that rocked the state. This legislative backing of the emergency rule follows Wednesday's swearing-in of retired Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas as the sole administrator of Rivers State. According to the Constitution, the National Assembly has formed a joint committee from both chambers to oversee the management of affairs in Rivers State during the emergency. And in the meantime, the lawmakers have set up a mediation committee consisting of key political figures to assist in resolving the state's political crisis. Well, to further discuss the recent approval by the National Assembly of President Bola Tinubu's emergency rule in Rivers State is legal practitioner Cheftam Nwala, who joins us from Abuja. Thank you for making our time to be on the program. Now, we have seen how the Senate and House of Representatives threw their weight behind the president's emergency rule declaration. What's your reaction to both houses unanimously supporting this move?
I want to say that as a person, of course, you know what Section 305 has stipulated. The National Assembly within 2 days, where the National Assembly is still operational, within 2 days is supposed to ratify either ratify or reject the decision of the president to announce a state of emergency or proclaim a state of emergency. For some of us, before now, I had criticized the state of emergency in Rivers State because I felt, one, it was premature. So I felt some of the terms in the state of emergency was not proper in the circumstance we had seen it, especially with the suspension of the governor and all that, and the House of Assembly. Because for us, we believe that the Constitution does not empower the president to suspend any elected officer. They are not appointees of the president. They are not under the president. So the president cannot take up that particular. So we are hoping that National Assembly was going to save democracy yesterday. Yesterday I was at the National Assembly and I had gone down there to also observe proceedings. I didn't meet the House of Assembly, House of Representatives proceedings, but I met that of the Senate. I was even in the chamber when the proclamation was confirmed by the Senate. And I must say that it is really sad. Initially the chambers went into a closed-door session where they discussed and decided on whatever they decided and came out with their resolution. And the Senate President read the resolution to the public and did his gravel to pass it through. But for us, it is really sad. It is unfortunate that our National Assembly that we had hoped on to survey this particular situation and stop the act of the president, which we deem to be unconstitutional, could not survey the situation. For me, I'm saddened by this particular thing because it's not about Rivers State. It's not about we can say. It is about the soul of our democracy. It's about defecating on our constitution because the act of the president by suspending an elected governor, suspending an elected House of Assembly, is a defecation on our constitution. And it's really sad, it's unfortunate, it's something that we should not support. Because the truth is this president has gotten his way with this. Another president will come, repeat the same thing, and he will get his way with it, and use this as a reference. That is why it is important that certain times we don't allow unjust actions to take place. We leave it on the board and stop it from happening. But unfortunately, what we have at the National Assembly are just puppets of the president, who will never disagree with the president. Whatever the president says they do, whether it is wrong or right, so far as their pocket is still written and written.
What then do you make of the amendments the lawmakers have made to the proclamation, like setting up a committee to reconcile the aggrieved parties, asking the sole administrator to make a recourse to the National Assembly on issues of regulations for the state and all of that?
Yes, in as much as we criticize the National Assembly for towing the line of the president in that proclamation, but we must also commend them for the amendments they had made. Because if you recall, during the presidential broadcast, the president had given himself and the executive council the power to make laws for Rivers State within this period, which is against section 11 of the constitution that stated clearly that where the House of Assembly is unable to make laws, only the National Assembly can make laws for the state in that circumstance. So I think what the National Assembly has done is highly commendable, and I commend them for taking that particular step for making sure that the issue of lawmaking within Rivers State is now brought back to the House of Assembly, to the National Assembly, where a joint House committee will be formed, joint committee between the House and the Senate will be formed, and this committee will now handle the administrative business of the Rivers State. Now, also the issue of the Senate talking about having respected men in the country, elder statement within the country to weigh in and see how it can bring solution to the pending problem between the House of Assembly and the governor. I think is also a laudable one from the National Assembly, and we commend them. But we must also realize and understand that the issue of Rivers State is not between the governor and the House of Assembly. The issue in Rivers State is between the governor and his former mentor or his mentor. Yes, so we can be the FCC minister. It is not even the House of Assembly members for me even do not even have a problem. The moment anybody is able to reconcile Wike and Singh together, then we have the problem in Rivers State solved. But the point is, Wike is hiding under the guise of the House of Assembly to carry out whatever actions he's carrying out to make it look like, oh, it's a disagreement between the House of Assembly and himself. But that is not correct. It is actually the disagreement between the FCC minister and the governor. So once this, if they are genuine and sincere in their approach, and the FCC minister and the governor is able to meet, reach an understanding, and after the stipulated time for the state of emergency is passed, the governor is restored back, the House of Assembly is restored back, and we have a progressive state in that particular circumstance. So I think we must actually commend the National Assembly, but also taking that particular step to call him for genuine reconciliation. But you know, these people are politicians. They're only interested in the next election. So the big question is, how genuine can this whole process be? Would it not also be a way in which they would want to win the governor and to make him do their bidding and to still encourage that godfatherism which we have criticized in Rivers State? So these are some of the challenges that come with it. But we must actually commend the National Assembly for taking the steps it has taken in the amendments to the proposed proclamation by the president. I think that is it is more progressive than even what they have done. Thank you.
So we understand that a certain number of votes are required, before the emergency rule is approved. Help us understand how this works, how the votes should be cast to get the required 2/3 of the legislative bodies. Right now, there's widespread condemnation over the pattern of voting that the lawmakers adopted.
The Constitution has stipulated in Section 305 that it is 2/3 majority of the House of National Assembly, or both House of Rep and Senate, that could be able to pass this emergency rule proclamation by the president. But what we saw yesterday was a bit of a show of shame, and we also saw at the House of Rep when one of the Labour Party representatives from Abia State was raising up concerns as to the issue of quorum. And the speaker Abbas had come up to say, oh, there is an attendance sheet and we are relying on the attendance sheet. And he's saying, no, let us do a health count of people here. That is because in the House of Representatives, they needed about 240 persons, 240 members to scale this through, because they must form that particular quorum there, 240 members, while in the Senate, they needed about 73 senators on ground to get it passed. But unfortunately, we saw a situation where the Speaker of the House of Representatives did throughout the issues raised by the Labour Party, the Labour Party House of Representatives member from Abia State, where he was raising up that concern and said no, he was going to rely on. Speaker said he was going to rely on the attendance register, which we know that probably the attendance register might have been doctored to to get the required number. Don't forget the previous day before yesterday, they had tried to raise up this particular issue and get it done with. But they didn't have the required number. So they had to go back, permutate again, and came back yesterday to carry this out. And from the look of things, they didn't have a required number. And what did they do? They used a voice vote. For a critical matter and important issues as this, you do not pass it via a voice vote. There is a voting booth that we see in the National Assembly. Why can't such voting instruments be used? Or even if you can't use such voting instruments, you could naturally use a show of hands. A show of hands would have naturally resolved it and the counting will be done to make the process to be transparent and genuine. But let me tell you, it was an already orchestrated, well-planned activity to make sure that the state of emergency is being declared in Rivers State by the president and his political allies. So we keep on saying, we don't know what Wike has given to the president. And like some person has also raised and said that he's still the president of Nigeria or Wike is the president of Nigeria. Because Wike seems to control everything the president does. The president does not seem to have grip over the country any longer. It is now Wike who determines what happens, who gets what appointment, who does not get what in the country. It is sad, it is unfortunate, and it is shameful.
Let's now go back to President Tinubu's national broadcast where he declared the state of emergency in Rivers State. He criticized the governor for remaining silent about the pipeline explosion and vandalism and failing to take action. Do you think that the governor's inaction, or silence I should say, means consent to the violence that rocked the state? That's talking about the pipeline vandalism and explosion.
Let me say this. I'm a Rivers man. I've been in Rivers State for the past 8 months. I've lived in Rivers State for the past 8 months, and I just only recently moved back to Abuja because of a few things I need to sort out and all that. I must tell you that Rivers State is peaceful, and everything they have talked about in the news are all false. Let me tell you, the whole thing, they needed to do all that to rope the governor in and to give the president a ground to declare a state of emergency. Let me tell you something. I'll remind you of something that happened last year. We had a situation where after the local government elections, pro-Wike supporters destroyed and burned down local government secretaries. At least all local government secretaries were burned down in Rivers State. What did the president say? Did the president condemn it? Did the president take any action? Were the people arrested, those who perpetrated the action, are there without any arrest up to today? Because they are pro-supporters of Wike, and then by extension, the president who are carrying out that particular thing. Rivers State has been largely peaceful. Who is in charge of pipeline in the country? Is it the governor that is in charge of pipeline? Is it the governor that is in charge of those installations? Let me tell you for free. But the governor has no business with it. So you cannot be accusing the governor for not condemning a pipeline explosion in the state. You are now accusing the governor. So on the strength of that, the governor gave a nod to it, and you now declare a state of emergency. All the killings across the country, how many has the president condemned? So can we now say that the president is in league with all those bandits that are carrying out killings and kidnapping in the north? So it tells you that this was an orchestrated, an already planned out thing, which they have carried out to make sure that they declare a state of emergency in Rivers State. And I can tell you for free, there are reports we are getting now, that some persons from this same government are going down to the prisons to get people who have already been condemned in the prison and to parade them, and they would have to confess and say, oh, it was they were the ones who threw the bomb in the pipeline, and that they were sent by the governor to do that. We know they are orchestrating things like this. There's already a plan that this is about to happen, and that they will be parading them today. And if this is done, it tells you the type of content we have found ourselves. Because let me tell you, both the Attorney General of the Federation, as well as the President, have been looking for ways to justify this action and to tie everything around the government. Have they talked about anything about the visibility of the FCC who has orchestrated the problem to deal with states for this long? Did they say anything about the House of Assembly? It tells you that, see, a lot is actually wrong. A lot is actually wrong. And that this was a sinister plan that was made against the government and the people of Rivers State. Somebody does not like the people of Rivers State. Somebody just wants to suffer the people of Rivers State. And somebody wants to siphon the monies belonging to the people of Rivers State. If not, you would ask yourself, why will the president say he is releasing an allocation the Supreme Court has said cease until there is a budget? in River State. You're saying you're releasing those allocations to the sole administrator you appointed. Is the sole administrator coming to build roads for River State? Is the sole administrator coming to build schools for River State? The sole administrator is doing none of those things. But we are now giving them river funds. To do what with exactly? It tells you that they already have a plan, and what they are only doing is to carry out that particular plan. Nothing more, nothing less.
Cheftam Nwala will continue this conversation after this break. To stay with us, the program will continue shortly. Welcome back. We're still discussing the state of emergency that President Bola Tinubu declared in Rivers State and the approval of the Senate and the House of Reps of that proclamation. Legal expert Cheftam Nwala is still my guest on the program. Now, before the president's action, Governor Fubara had claimed that he was locked out of the House of Assembly that's in Rivers State when he wanted to represent the 2025 budget based on the Supreme Court's order. He had also set March 19. However, the Assembly denied locking the governor out of the complex. Who then should be held accountable here? Because both sides are throwing blames at each other.
First of all, I have on different fora and even on other television stations faulted the action of the governor where he went to the House of Assembly. Because there are procedures and ways of doing these things. You know, when you send a correspondence to the House of Assembly, you would the House of Assembly must first of all receive the correspondence, and when they receive the correspondence would have to be read on the floor of the House to members. If you say you want to come and present budget and you have written to the House of Assembly, when the House of Assembly receives the letter, the Speaker will read it to the House of Assembly and say the governor has communicated us and said he wants to present this budget on so day. And the House will not approve of a particular day that they would allow for the governor to come and present that same budget. You gave a letter today around 2 o'clock. By the next morning, 10 a.m., you're already at the House of Assembly to present budget. That was a very wrong move by the government. Completely and a total wrong move by the government. The government is not getting any response from the House of Assembly. I faulted that particular position, and the governor also realized that, and later on, the previous week, had sent a letter to the House of Assembly saying that by Wednesday, we are going to come to make a proper presentation of the budget, which is a commendable move. But unfortunately, before the said Wednesday, we saw a declaration of state of emergency in the state. So on that particular issue, I think the government did not act properly. The government acted in bad faith. It didn't act well. And whoever must have advised him to take that particular action did advise him wrongly.
Now, you remember that the House of Assembly had issued an impeachment notice against Governor Fubara. Given these developments, do you think that the State House of Assembly made things easier for the governor? And is the governor shielded from impeachment, as many believe, now that there's a state of emergency in Rivers State?
The point is the issue of impeachment. It is within the right of the House of Assembly to carry out an impeachment notice or impeachment against the governor who has held or has contravened any section of the Constitution and has not kept to his oath of office. It is within the right of the House of Assembly. But another issue is whether those allegations made against the governor would have been proven in the circumstance. Now, if those allegations were not proven in the circumstance, then the impeachment process would have failed, because the law in section 188 has said that once this has stipulated the processes and procedures, how an impeachment process can be carried out. And apart from what the assembly will do, there is a position of the chief judge who would have to set up a 7-man panel that will look at the allegations against the governor. And the panel will invite the governor to make his presentations through his legal practitioners, as well as the accusers of the governor. And based on the finding of the 7-man panel, an impeachment can be carried out or cannot be carried out. If the panel finds him one thing, then the governor will be impeached. But when the party does not find him wanting, then the governor will be exonerated. That is the law. But in the circumstances of Rivers State, we saw a situation where some of us that said that the impeachment process against the governor is premature. But however, since you said an impeachment process against the governor, continue with it. Continue with it. Let us see how it happens. Let us see what happens with it. So, and they continue with this, and of course, one of the reasons, and I keep on saying this, one of the reasons why you have the state of emergency in Rivers State, it is because they know that they could not continue with the impeachment process of the government. They have called the chief judge to play ball with them. The chief judge has refused to play ball. The only option they have now was to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State that was peaceful, that had no need for a state of emergency. And today they are trying to justify the state of emergency in the state. So I must tell you that the actions of the House of Assembly is not unconstitutional, but the question is whether they would have gotten a proper impeachment in the circumstance or not. So the president should have allowed the process to conclude. But no, they intervened and interrupted the entire process, which is sad and really unfortunate.
Now, this crisis has lingered for quite a long time. Why has it been so difficult for political actors in Rivers State to come to an agreement, at least for the benefit of the people of Rivers State now?
Well, Rivers State has a history of not resolving political crisis. It is winner takes it all in Rivers State. Unlike Lagos State and other states, the reason is because no one man controls Rivers State like Lagos State and other states, where you find a situation where Tinubu could sit anywhere he will sit and control it. I mean, who becomes governor of Lagos State and other. In Rivers is a different case. In Rivers State, we have independent-minded people who decide to do things the way they want to do it and all that. And the issue of godfatherism is not against. Remember, when I mean he's trying to bring in Zakuku as well as Tony Gold in Rivers State, you see Rivers people rejected it. The same thing has also happened. Even where we succeeded in muzzling Rivers people to produce a successor, we are also seeing that his successor is standing against him. Because we are naturally known to be people who do not align ourselves to godfatherism and all that. So now the crisis, time is overside the Rivers. The history of Rivers crisis has shown that Rivers people, it is difficult to call them to the round table to resolve issues. Because let me tell you, we are a proud people. Our people are majorly proud, and sometimes this ego usually plays into this issue of leadership. And that is why political tussles do not end until somebody loses out eventually. Like in Rivers, when the crisis between Amity and Wike started, we saw that crisis never ended until there was a victor and there was a value. And the same thing would happen in this one. Even if we are hoping that at some point, the resolution that the Senate has come up with some respected persons in society will give it. Now, if we look at the Rivers community and the elders, you discover that those elders would have naturally relied on to resolve this crisis have all taken sides. And it makes it difficult for this issue to be resolved. So these are some of the challenges with Rivers and the peculiarity of our situation. And that's why it is difficult to get this thing sorted out and resolved.
It's quite surprising that despite the presence of many senior elder statesmen now in Rivers State, they've been unable to resolve this crisis at some point. Some even started taking sides. Would you say that they were complicit in escalating the crisis?
Well, they were part of it. They are part of the crisis. They joined in escalating the crisis. Of course, Wike has his own elders. The governor has his own elders. And we will see each of these elders issuing up press statements and all that on different political issues happening within the state. And this has also further fueled the crisis within the state. It was so bad that even religious leaders were also a part of this crisis. Religious leaders also took sides in the whole matter. So it's an unfortunate situation for Rivers State that even our elders had to take the stand they took. So if our elders didn't take the stand they took, maybe they would have been able to resolve this. But because they are taking stands on the issue, it became difficult for them to help to resolve the issue of ground.
Of course, yeah, the PDP and other opposition figures have rejected President Tinubu's decision, accusing him of intentionally trying to take control of Rivers State. The PDP claims that the APC is deliberately inciting the crisis to ultimately disrupt democracy in Rivers State. How would you react to this?
Well, in as much as the PDP is correct in their press statement, But we know that the PDP they are all political jobbers. They are only just looking for an opportunity to cash in and grab power. It is not like they are better off. They are the same thing. These are politicians, and for me, I don't take politicians seriously. I say when the issue, even if, of course, like I said before, what they are saying is true and it is correct, that the action of the president is wrong. But the truth be told, these are politicians. And they're only doing that because they're in the opposition. They are not a part of the ruling party. And of course, don't forget, this same president has criticized Obasanjo and Goodluck for declaring a state of emergency. They did declare state of emergency. So today, then he was in the opposition, today he is president, and he is declaring state of emergency, which is quite funny and unfortunate. So these are politicians. You don't take politicians seriously. You don't even take their words seriously, because tomorrow when they have opportunity in the same circumstance, they will still do the same thing. They don't care about people. They only care about their interests. They only care about the next election. So the PDP say whatever they have said are only interested in the next election. And it's really unfortunate. But let me also say further that as an opposition political party, the PDP ought to take other steps than the steps they have taken so far. They are not playing the role of the opposition. Well, you cannot also blame them so much, because the president has also used Governor Wike, Minister Wike, to demystify and to destroy the party. So he has weakened the PDP. PDP is now more like a paper tiger, where they just wake up in the morning, issue a press statement that holds no water, and that is all. So it's really unfortunate. But we commend them for making that press statement. But we know that beyond the press statement, they should take further action. They could bring up legal action against both the president and the National Assembly. But of course, they are docile. They can't do more than that. And that is what they are known for now.
Well, the National Assembly has agreed that the state of emergency can be reviewed and terminated at any time within the initial 6 months based on progress on peace moves. We'll wait and see what happens before and after the 6-month period. Legal practitioner Cheftam Onwala, thank you very much for coming on the program and for sharing your thoughts with us. We appreciate. Well, that's all we have on the program. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
When you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon route, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Good day and welcome to another fantastic moment of your favorite sport program on TV360 Sport. I am Mudashiru Shitu. Today we'll be looking at an interesting topic in the world of sport. A sport that is thriving in every part of Africa, so much in West Africa. There's been so much to talk about. Softball and baseball is a sport that is yet to get the recognition it deserves in this part of the continent. And I'll be speaking with a Canadian trainer, someone that's done so well for herself for the past years. She has been doing everything that has to do with softball and baseball. She's presently based in Ghana, talking about Yolande Charles, a Canadian softball and baseball trainer. It's good to have you on the show, Ma. It's good to have you on the show.
Thank you. A pleasure.
Okay. We just met a few days ago.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, welcome. We just met a few days ago in Nigeria, and the purpose of your visit to Nigeria is about softball and baseball. Can you tell us what has propelled you for many years to engage yourself in the development of softball and baseball?
Well, in North America, it's secondary to go into school. Most kids in North America, they play extracurricular sports. So as a Canadian, baseball is a summer activity. Winter sport is hockey. When I moved to Canada, it's just something that grabbed my attention. I started out as a player, and then I got into coaching very young. When I was about 18, 19, I got into coaching. And then I realized that as a player, I wasn't a very good coach because I didn't have the understanding of what was necessary to break the skills down so that I could actually teach the players how to implement what it is I was trying to instruct. So then I started taking courses to understand the fundamentals and the dynamics behind how you train an individual to execute a task. So softball for me is not just a passion, it's a way of life. I've gotten to travel around the world because of it. And I think that's the thing that I see in Nigeria. You have the population, but a lot of people don't have any idea of softball or baseball or what they can use it to achieve. So for me in North America, softball is just something, we go to see the Blue Jays, we go and we have rivalry with the United States. Every kid wants to grow up to be, they have their idols. The same way you guys have football, we have the same passion for baseball and softball in Canada.
Justin, but I want to ask, has it been that it's not so much of a popular sport after outside some European countries? Why is softball and baseball not so much of a sport that is popular outside the region that is best known to it?
I think with football, it's simple. You need a ball. right? With baseball and softball, you need a bat, you need a glove, you need cleats, you need uniform, you need a mouth guard, a face guard, a helmet. And softball and baseball has always been seen a bit like it's the white man's sport. Because of the costs associated with baseball and softball, I think most parents shy away from it, even in North America. The difference between North America and Nigeria is that the government is invested in the sport, so they actually provide subsidies for marginalized kids who may not be able to afford the equipment. There are other private institutions that give donation to make it possible so that kids could play the sport. The other thing about it is most sports that has been brought to Africa kind of came with the colonizers. So everyone knows cricket, they know football, because those are the things that were played during, 1800s and so forth. I think the hesitation is the understanding that if you bring softball or baseball to Africa, you actually have to change the culture of sport in order to accommodate this new sport. It's not like football. The understanding of the game, it takes you decades to understand the game. When you look at it, it may just look like someone standing and, whacking a stick at a ball, but there's so much integral part into learning the sport. This is one of the reasons why when I came to Nigeria, I said the kids are at a disadvantage because they don't have the playing equipment. They don't have the playing field. They don't have the support from the federation or from the government to provide the resources that is necessary so that they can learn the sport free and then later realize it's something that they are passionate about and they can use it as a means to employment, education, staying out of trouble. So I think people shy away from it because it's seen as a North American, it's an American sport, it's a Canadian sport, it's known in Europe. But in Africa, because of the costs associated with it and the education and training that is required to become qualified in it, people shy away. That's my opinion. I don't know if it's the truth, but that's what I perceive as the issue as to why Africa hasn't embraced it the same way they did football.
Well, sir, I think you've given us a very, very good objective. But tell us, you're based in Ghana. Can you tell us if there's any really difference between baseball, softball in Ghana and Nigeria? Is there any developments in one part of the continent between Nigeria and Ghana that which of them are embracing the sports the more? So
Nigeria has taken on the Little League approach. So basically, they play a junior, major, and they believe more along the lines of school ball that then leads into travel ball. The federation in Ghana, what they're trying to do as well, softball used to be big in Ghana, it used to be big in Nigeria as well. And the problem that I perceive is that it's based too much on the political currents. And what I mean by that is you have one government that may buy into it, and then when they leave office, their vision leaves with them. And if the community people do not step in and take the leadership, then it doesn't go. So right now in Ghana, baseball 5 is a big thing. Female softball, we're trying to bring it back, and we've started with schools. It hasn't been a good sell so far because we have to convince the parents that it's okay to let the girls play the sport. Because as you know, sport is not something that a lot of young girls are exposed to. There are a few women who break through, the glass ceiling and they're able to get to the university on it. But in average, you have a lot of runners and you have maybe basketball player that come from different regions of Africa. But so far, we don't have a lot of school-based program or community-based program in softball and baseball. So Ghana is struggling very much like Nigeria to get sponsorship, we have a diamond. But again, our biggest issue is convincing the families that this is a viable alternative for their children. Especially when you are marginalized or you're poor, you're chasing the dollar to feed your family. So it's very difficult to then say, oh, on top of that, can you pay for baseball equipment, softball equipment, given permission for your daughter who has to help you hawk or who has to help you collect the firewood or so forth. Parents see it as a distraction to the home help. So if a person is coming for 3 hours of practice, that's 3 hours they don't have for that girl helping them in the home environment, which is kind of funny because the boys are allowed to go and do whatever they want to do in regards to sports, but because the girls are seen as a second mom, the unpaid labor, parents are a little bit more resistant to let them go. So the biggest issue I've had in Ghana is more about the attitude about girls in sports, and that having to do the education to family, to school, to the community about girls in sport is the same as boys in sports, and there's really no difference to the access. So that has been my biggest challenge here.
Okay.
The Federation in Ghana is working diligently to try and come up with their own program and to spread it across Ghana. It hasn't been easy. And I think the Little League concept in Nigeria is a little bit easier to take hold of because it's almost like a pyramid. So there is a federation body of Little League, and under that you can have a club, and each club is following the Little League principle. So the club I visited is a member of the Little League program with their own administration, with their own. We don't have a Little League in Ghana, and I don't know if it's something that they see in the future. Little League is one option, community base is another, travel ball is another, high school. So there are a lot of different ways to bring softball and baseball to the masses. It's a matter of the commitment of the people, the Minister of Sport. For instance, in Canada, we have money that is earmarked for sports. So when the ministry is talking about sports and sports development, for resources for schools, for teachers, it's part of the budget. It's a built-in part of the infrastructure. And that doesn't exist in Ghana, it doesn't exist in Nigeria as yet. So once that changes, I think you will see a lot of change and access to sports for marginalized kids, especially young girls. And I think the opportunity to go to the Netherlands and to go to Poland will raise some awareness of what this sport can give you. Because for a lot of these young kids in this club, who have never left Nigeria, when they go there, their eyes are about to be blown open with a different reality, a different world. So the hope is that when they come back from this, they will be bringing new skills, not just to themselves and their family, but to their community and to their schools.
Okay, well said. I mean, you've just, in a few words, simplified so much an overview of what is going on in Ghana and also in Nigeria. But you mentioned on that day we met about the challenges in Nigeria. What are these challenges in Nigeria that needs to overcome to enable the game, softball or baseball, be appreciable, accepted from young boys and girls? What are these challenges the country needs to overcome, or the sporting sector needs to overcome, so that they can embrace baseball and softball?
Okay. First and foremost, accessibility to the sport. So there should be community-based education program. Like Peru 30 years ago, they opened community sporting centers where children could go on the weekend for free and try the sport, right? As an end result of a commitment from the government, the Ministry of Sport, they infused the community with the knowledge and the exposure. And 1 out of every 5 child, for instance, would then say, okay, I'm interested and I want to learn it. So if you don't have access to it is the first thing. So when I say free access, I mean having community hubs where the government says, the Minister of Sports says, okay, we're going to fund this particular activity for the community. So we're going to provide the equipment, we're going to do the training to the trainers, and then they're going to do the recruitment of the young people in the community, in the schools, and they're going to then exchange the knowledge. So currently that doesn't exist. The other thing is, the girls, for instance, in Ibadan, they're practicing in a field, in a school, and they're sharing it with the cows, with the goats, with the chickens. It's not ideal for raising champions. If you want to compete on a international level or even on a higher level, you have to train at that level. And in order for you to train at that level, you have to have access to the resources necessary. So lack of funding. The coaches do not get opportunity to travel, to expand their knowledge. Softball, as I said to you, is a very complex sport. The more you learn, the more you know, the better coach's style you have. So having opportunity to get a passport, a visa, to go to Italy as a coach, to learn pitching skills, to learn catching skills, will only enrich your Nigerian players. So when you have blockage to that, or you don't have support to that, then what happens is you've hit the top of you've plateaued. You've hit the top of where you can go, and the learning stops. So financial support, donation of equipment, funding for equipment, access to visa, passport, stipends for trainers, so that if they're giving up time from work to actually do training, somebody has to supplement their income while they're doing that. I can't say that enough. Volunteerism is something that drives baseball and softball in North America. But if you're going to get to that level where you're doing traveling, you're representing the country national level, then money has to be put into funding the trainers, funding the coaches, so that their focus is only on the sport. Because if I have to take time away from my family, who's feeding my family while I'm traveling and representing the country? I shouldn't leave my home where I have a bed and I have breakfast to go to a community as a trainer or as a coach, and I'm not given, 3 meals a day, or I'm sleeping on the floor of a gym. Those kind of stuff shouldn't happen. So the sport doesn't grow as quickly here because the people who have played it, especially the ones who've played on the national level, they know what's possible. And when they come and they're asking for stuff, they're not necessarily taken as seriously as they should. So I think there needs to be better dialogue between the Minister of Sports, the Federation of Sport, as well as the Little League program, about how do we strategically move the sport into the 21st century, right? And that is not only about funding for players, but it's also funding philosophy, code of conduct, training, and continuous buy-in to the changes that are happening. Because the game is different in Ghana, it's different in Nigeria than it is in Canada and the United States. And if I'm not traveling to see the difference, I can't train my players to excel. I can't. The most difficult things for me when I was there is that I'm walking into a park and I see garbage in the park. I see a whole pothole on the street, or I see there's no access to a bathroom while I'm training. I see kids throwing up in sandals. The bats that they have are dead. So bats have a lifespan to them after a certain hit. It doesn't work the same way. And the sport itself requires you to stay in tune with the changes that are happening. You have to train umpires, and you have to train people at the community level. You have to train the parents as well to support the coaches. So it's a holistic system that needs to be put in place where every player is doing their part. It's an ecosystem where everyone has a responsibility, but the responsibility has to come from the Minister of Sports, from the government, to say, this is how we are going to strategically grow the sport, and we're going to support the trainers and the coaches, whether it's through bringing people from North America to do the training and certification process so that our coaches are certified. So when they go to the higher level, they have that certification, they have that knowledge to become more competitive. Okay. And currently the system is kind of a mishmash. Everyone is doing their own thing, and we're always scrambling in the last minute. So we're about to go to Poland, and now we're scrambling to introduce the team. We're scrambling to get visibility. We're scrambling. It shouldn't be that way. There should be a season for the sport, and everyone knows this is the season for training players. This is a season for training coaches. This is a season for training umpires. This is when the tournaments are going to be called every year. This is when the qualifier, and there's a process in place that says with every qualifier that we win, we're going to need visa, we're going to need passport, we're going to need stipend, we're going to need training, we're going to need a physician, we're going to need the following things. So until we start working holistically together as one group, we're not going to grow as quickly and as efficiently as we could, because you can't have one team doing one thing, one club doing another thing, and then you're expecting the same result. There needs to be better leadership, and there just needs to be more support. There's a field that's been under construction, or a stadium that's been under construction for a long period of time. And if the students and the players have access to that stadium to practice, it would make a huge difference. And if we're not able to do that, then the chiefs need to just kind of designate, we're giving you an acre of land and it's for sports. So there's that commitment, right? And that commitment is not wavering. The schools, you have it as part of the curriculum as well, so that during gym time, you're learning football, you're learning volleyball, you're learning basketball, you're learning softball and baseball.
Okay,
that's the only way we're going to become competitive.
Okay, Yolande, thank you for your time. But one more question in a few minutes. I expect you to just give me a few responses to this particular question. The Adekalu baseball team will be traveling to Czech and also Netherlands. Tell us the whole of opportunity that they are expected to gain from this tournament if at the end of the day they get to leave the shore of the country.
Okay, this is the 5th time they've been invited to go. And if they're able to get the visa and they're able to get the passport and they're able to get the recognition, so they're representing Nigeria. So when they go to the Netherlands and they go to Poland, it will be the first time that people will see the skill level that comes out of Nigeria. It's also an opportunity for the international people to realize that there's an opportunity for sports, this type of sport, to be developed in Nigeria. It puts your country on the map the same way Canada, the United States is on the map when it comes to softball and baseball. For professional organization, it also shows them that they're athletes that we can recruit, similar to Uganda. That's what's happening in Uganda now. So it opens a window, unlimited opportunity for fundraising, for collaboration, for university, for recruiting. But also, it's an opportunity for your government to then be able to have partnerships with other government around sports. And for this club in particular, I guarantee you that when they go and come back, the interest, because of how well they will do overseas, the interest will grow exponentially. So it's not just an opportunity for the individuals and the coach and the club, but the opportunity for Nigeria to be recognized as a force to be reckoned with when it comes to baseball and softball.
Okay.
So I hope the government and the ministers will support them so that we can get that visibility for Nigeria and the club.
Okay. Yolande, thank you for your time, for being part of today's program.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Baseball, softball is life.
Okay, thank you very much.
You know, if you have water, the next thing you need is baseball and softball.
Okay, if water, the next thing I need is baseball and softball. Okay, well
yes,
said.
Because it'll give you everything else you need.
Oh, okay, well said.
It gives you access to employment. It gives you, relationship has been started on the field, right? Romance come out of baseball, education, food. It opens a whole new world to you that is, most people don't even realize. I've been to 98 countries in my lifetime, and 35 of them has been because of baseball and softball.
Wow, that's incredible. Thank you very much. We hope to see you soon, and extend our greetings to your family in Ghana and your family in Canada.
Family in Nigeria, because I now have a family in Nigeria with this club.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll be speaking with Yolande Charles, a Canadian trainer based in Ghana. Has been doing so well, like you rightly read for herself, to baseball in Africa. So for the development of softball and baseball, she has encouraged everyone to at least participate in softball or baseball. I'm still Mudashishitu. Thanks for keeping with us on this part of, in this part of the program. I want to say a big thank you for those that have joined us on all our social media platforms to always continue to watch 360 Sport. Same time next week.
Hello and welcome. The biggest talking point in the country right now is the National Assembly's approval of President Bola Tinubu's declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State. The decision was reached through a voice vote during Thursday's plenary, where both chambers ratified, that's both houses now of Parliament, ratified the 6-month suspension of Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy Ngozi Odu, and all elected members of the State House of Assembly. In approving the emergency rule now, the Senate made 3 amendments. The first is that the National Assembly would oversee the activities of the sole administrator, retired Vice Admiral Obot Ete Ibas. And the Senate also recommended, not just the Senate, but the House also. So the National Assembly also recommended setting up an a group of eminent Nigerians now who would meet with the warring parties in the Rivers State political tussle and try to resolve the crisis. The third amendment is that the president can review the period of emergency to a shorter period than 6 months, provided, of course, all the issues are resolved before then. Now, while approving the emergency rule, the Senate said all regulations in Rivers State must be subjected to the approval and oversight of the National Assembly Joint Ad Hoc Committee. In response, President Bola Tinubu lauded the National Assembly for its decisive and patriotic ratification of the state of emergency proclamation in Rivers State. He said the move is a critical step to restoring stability after a protracted political crisis that paralyzed governance in the oil-rich state and endangered national economic security for over 15 months. The party further acknowledged, this time the APC, the president, I should say, further acknowledged the lawmakers' diligent review of classified security briefings, underscoring the urgent need for intervention to prevent further escalation. Joining me now to dissect all of this, I have legal practitioner and political affairs analyst Libros Oshuma. Also joining us via Zoom now is political affairs analyst Nelson Ekujimi. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. Libros, I know your position on the state of emergency. Of course, you've argued that, look, the Section 305 of the Constitution does not give the president now the power to declare a state of emergency. Well, now that emergency has...
No. I didn't say it doesn't give the power.
To suspend... Yes, to suspend the governor and his deputy.
Yes.
In any case, the National Assembly has approved that decision, now ratified it, and the emergency is on. The governor, the deputy, and of course the lawmakers in Rivers State, that's the state lawmakers, are under suspension now. Let's look at the decision of the National Assembly to ratify it. What do you make of that?
You see, for me, it was first and foremost, I expected, like the normal vote counting, I expected to see a more transparent voting process so as to carry everybody along and to give, a robust understanding of the issues, because democracy is a learning process. But because when the Constitution says that a two-third majority of a house is required, one would expect that two-third majority should not be a voice vote, for example. But the National Assembly, in its wisdom, has said that they took roll call.
Yes.
And they took roll call. And so I want to presume that since we didn't hear nay.
Exactly, I was going to say that.
I want to presume that all the people present and voting at that time, voted yes. And what is the number of the people present and voting at the time? So I also had listened to some persons who said at the executive session they were not allowed to talk, and so they walked out of where the committee was eventually presented. I felt for me that was the abdication of responsibility, because Nigerians hinge a lot of hope on especially members of the opposition in the National Assembly. And to have walked out...
Well, walking out is the best way to dodge.
For me, it is even if I'm the only person standing alone, I want to be seen to be standing for something. So for me, those members disappointed me. walking out of your responsibility and say because you are overwhelmed. It's a way of avoiding the issues. Yeah. And so I expected, like I said, if we had even had some nays at all, then we'll now begin to say, yes, let's have a count. Because you have nays, you have ayes.
But there was none.
So there was none at all. The House of Rep, the nays was silent like that of a graveyard. And then the Senate also, it was the same thing. So if we had even had one or two cries of nay, then some of us who are insisting that they let there be a head count and then let specific particular voting, then would have been justified. We just feel, ashamed and feel like, this people, you don't push us, all of us, under the bus, and they've abdicated our responsibility. So I do not exonerate any member of the legislature. They all adopted it, despite the fact that, like I said, clearly believe that Section 305 did not empower the president to suspend democratically elected structure. To reiterate that position, also the Supreme Court judgment just last year, July, where the Supreme Court reiterated that the governors have no power to suspend.
The governors, not
yes,
the governors.
For the governors, that the governors have no power to suspend
local government
chairmen.
Okay, we're going to come to that. Nelson, let me ask you, really, when they had that voice vote, I was also surprised that there were no nays, so to speak. Now, could it be possible? Because we know that, look, before the House had that sitting, we had seen some lawmakers come out openly and were kicking and all of that. But let's not forget that before they came out to make a final decision on the proclamation of the president, they had executive sessions. That's both in the House and in the Senate. And it was during these executive sessions, of course, that the lawmakers would have been availed a lot of information, security information and all of that. Is there a chance that after that executive session, some lawmakers, got convinced and now saw the reason for the emergency?
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's a probability that, yes, that might have been what transpired. But we must also not run away from the fact that when Mr. President was going to make this declaration of a state of emergency, the report we have is that he consulted the leadership of both houses of the National Assembly. And what that means is that they were on the same page, because I'm sure Mr. President must have briefed them about a lot of happenings in Rivers State that warranted that declaration. And when we saw the spokesperson of the House of Representatives come out, he said Mr. President has briefed the House of Representative leadership and that they are going to the House to also talk to their to fellow members. So what must have happened during the executive session must have been that those who didn't see the reason why they should be on that page of ratifying the imposition of a state of emergency must have seen reason based on available facts. So that's everything that they did points in that direction. And that is the beauty of democracy. Democracy is about negotiation, debate, discussion, disagreement, and the exchange of ideas. And from what we have seen play out, it was that those members who were not, who didn't have those information, they needed to be on that page before, maybe in the executive session, they became convinced that truly this was the best thing to do. And that was why when the House, passed a voice vote, it was a unanimous, voice vote for ayes. There was no single dissenting nay when the Speaker called for those against. So it's a pointer in that direction that those members saw reason why they should, add their voice, and perform their legislative function in ratifying what Mr. President did in line with the provisions of the Constitution.
Libros, let's talk about let's talk about the amendments now that the lawmakers made. 3 amendments, and I mean in this case, it's not as if they didn't pass the proclamation as presented to them by the president. So they made 3 amendments. For instance, in terms of lawmaking in the state, that the sole administrator would have to make recourse to them. The president had initially said, that the sole administrator would make recourse to to the Federal Executive Council and all of that. So they made that amendment, setting up a national reconciliation committee, so to speak, to meet with the warring parties in Rivers State. And then the third recommendation, of course, having to do with the time frame for the state of emergency, that it can actually be shortened if there was a resolution in time before that 6 months. So let's talk about those. What do you make of them, those amendments, those insertions?
DG, first and foremost, whether they made those amendments or not, by virtue of Section 11, subsection 4, when a State House of Assembly is unable to sit, the National Assembly take over the responsibility of that State House of Assembly. So it is stated there clearly for peace and security of that state. So, and once the state of emergency is declared, and this case suspending the democratic elected government in the state, certainly by virtue of that Section 11, subsection 4, the State House of Assembly responsibility will be taken over by the National Assembly. But for me, the question was the State House of Assembly unable to sit? They were sitting. Anyway, that's a discussion for another day. And now, on the issue of recommendation to settle or find lasting peace and resolve the crisis between the warring parties, it was obvious also what that immediately did was to show that it is obvious that the state of emergency was not as a result of insecurity. It was as a result of the crisis between two arms of government, an unnecessary crisis between two arms of government.
Of course, we know it's as a result of the political crisis that there was this fear that was going to be security, of course.
Between two arms of government. And so now, my worry is that there were opportunity to have set up this committee to resolve this crisis, amongst or between the members, because you have members from the Rivers State in that National Assembly also. You have senators from there, you have House of Rep members from Rivers State. There was opportunity. Even Mr. President had intervened.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, what other committee can be better than the intervention of the President?
So Mr. President had intervened before, and one had thought that parties, had sheathed their sword, and they were asked to go back home and let sleeping dog lies and return to status quo. But unfortunately, the governor Fubara reneged on that agreement because maybe I don't know who was advising him. And so this idea of setting up another committee to reconcile these people, and like you said, what committee could have been more than the president?
But it's not a bad idea to give it a try.
But what I am saying, for me here now, what it means is that basically why we are doing all of this is not as a result of imminent danger or insecurity, it's as a result of the greed of two warring parties who had refused to sheathe their sword. And unfortunately, the country and the people of Rivers State had to, bear this brunt and these challenges, and we are all debating it today, some for and some of us against. These avoidable issues. So why didn't they set up the committee before now? And so we are spared our resources will be used to set up committees to reconcile people who do not, I don't want to use the word, but then who is reconciling the ordinary Nigerians with the hunger in the land? Who is reconciling the ordinary Nigerian with the responsibility of the National Assembly to make laws for the good order and the public order and the safety of the people? So that's why, for me, I think we should have been spared all of this amendment, because the amendment really, like I said, in the first place, whether you amended it or not, certainly the National Assembly, has power by virtue of Section 11, subsection 4, to take up that responsibility, which certainly they will do.
But that's not the only amendment. Anyway.
And then the amendment of having to set up a committee to reconcile. And which one is the third one now?
The third one, of course, is that if there was a reconciliation and the issue is resolved, then the emergency doesn't need to get.
Deji, we have been on this issue for more than 1 year.
But we can't lose hope that this can be resolved.
So what I'm saying is if the parties decide not to reconcile, what's the business of the National Assembly?
Don't you also? Okay, Nelson, let me come to you. Don't you think it's true? Just as Libero said, this crisis before now seemed intractable. The president intervened, not able to resolve it. The warring parties continued to dig in, but now the president has wielded the big stick, and there's a state of emergency. You think that state of emergency could make them change their position and get this resolved as quickly as possible so that, normal democratic activities can resume in Rivers State?
Well, I don't know. I don't have the facts. But, within these 6 months, a lot of engagements, a lot of interaction could take place. People who are not interested in the crisis before, who were, sitting on the fence, might come in and try to, make peace within the warring faction. But be that as it may, the recommendations or the recommendations by the National Assembly is outside the purview of the proclamation and what it contains as enshrined in Section 305. The National Assembly is only trying to play the role that Mr. President played, which was outside of the political structure, but playing a fatherly role. And so we wait to see if reason will prevail between these gladiators, or maybe they have sworn to remain eternal enemies. That will be to their own detriment at the end of the day. But be that as it may, I want to believe strongly that those elders or persons of goodwill might come into the issue now and try to make peace for the good governance of the people of Rivers. Because since 2023, Governor Fubara, murdered democracy in Rivers State by, not allowing the legislature, which is the bastion of democracy, to exist. And since then, the state has been at war. So if you listen to the broadcast of even the administrator, he said for almost 16 to 18 months, or if I'm right, that there has been political crisis in the state, and the political crisis was degenerating into an economic crisis with the bombing of oil installation. So if they want to be reasonable enough and they claim they are representing the people of Rivers State, I think the best thing for them to do within these 6 months is to sheathe their sword, put on their thinking cap and say, hey, man, ladies and gentlemen, what are we even fighting for? And make peace with themselves. But if they think otherwise, then according to, the Constitution, the president has the powers to extend by another, to give the proclamation of a state of emergency. Another extension is subject to ratification by the National Assembly. So the ball is in their courts.
Sorry, quickly, Deji, let me quickly say this. I think that recommendation was a way of buying, the sympathy of Nigerians to say, okay, it's not going to be 6 months, and so even if they resolve it,
might not be.
These are my opinion.
Yeah.
These are my opinion.
It might not be.
These are my opinion. But for me, I think all of those, if it is resolved, certainly, even if you look at the Section 305, it's already stated, if there is an emergency and if the crisis is resolved before 6 months, it's not cast in stone that it must be 6 months.
But it's, but it's also a good thing that they are saying it. There's nothing wrong.
It is already contained in the proclamation, all of those amendments. What I am saying is resolution. Yes, why alternative dispute resolutions are good. These issues have been resolved by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court had made a pronouncement. The issues had been resolved, and the governor had reached out.
What issues are you talking about?
Okay, we talked about what were these issues. The issues were the governor's failure to recognize the members of the 27 lawmakers of the State House of Assembly, which consistently
the issue. When you say the issue has been resolved, if the issue had been resolved
by the national, the Supreme Court,
if the issue accepted, the issue had been resolved, but there had been a lack of the will now to implement it, and that's the reason why we're here. So this is the
question now: who lacked the will to implement it?
Yeah, obviously
the governor had reached out to the members of the State House of Assembly, who he hitherto had not recognized. He had reached out to them. The State House of Assembly has sat. They have invited members of the state electoral body to appear before them. 3 members have appeared, even though the chairman of that body had refused to appear. The governor had reached out to them. These are ways of resolving issues.
Yeah, hold on. I mean, we can't, because the way you're saying it as if there are no issues on ground. There are.
I agree with you.
There are several issues on ground, and so if the committee and if efforts are made to resolve all of the issues, then that's fine. There's no question at all that the Supreme Court has made pronouncements on all of this, but fact is there are still problems, and that's the reason why we're here. And so if these issues can be resolved by a committee or other means, then that's fine. The most important thing is at the end of the day, you want to see peace. And if they're able to resolve it as quickly as possible and end this emergency, then all fine. But let me ask you this. I would say, when you look at this entire crisis, one group has actually been responsible for aiding and abetting it, and that's elders of the state. You know, and when I say elders, from both sides.
Yes.
Yes. So what do you expect them now to do?
Look,
going forward.
It's unfortunate. Yes. I had said this repeatedly. The way we play opposition in this country, and the way we play government and opposition, in fact, the way we play politics in Nigeria, it's appalling. You see people, the moment they are in government, they do what they once criticized, and then those people, once they are in opposition, what they once did, they condemn. That's the same kind of politics we saw play out in Rivers State with the elders in the state. I expected, and I consistently called on the elders in Rivers State to intervene.
They became partisan.
Called the two warring parties together and find a common ground. But they became partisan. They took side clearly. It became difficult for either of them to speak truth to power. And when Mr. President intervened, I had also expected that parties will go back home.
And the elders were there.
The elders were there. I expected that they would go back home and say, you see, the president of the country had intervened, and so let us see how we can, ensure that each party keeps to their side of the bargain. But no, they all got back, maybe for what they all would benefit. Everybody started saying, oh no, the president had no power to dictate to a governor. The president had no power to do this. And everything that was agreed, they all reneged on it. The governor reneged on it and consistently started making reckless statements. For me, I think the reckless statement also from the governor also attracted the so-called insecurity. How do you make such statement that it is by your recognition that these members are members of the House of Assembly?
That you're going to give signal to your
that
voice.
It is your blue barrel that used to recognize them. Without that, they are not members. I know now. And then that the boys should be calm. You're going to give signal to them on when to unleash. These are reckless statements from a state governor. And certainly, for me, I think anybody in opposition could have capitalized on that. It was okay, now that I have made that statement, let us cause mayhem. Yeah. And there was no caution from him to say, oh, look, please, this is not what I encourage. Nothing. And then the House of Assembly also, we should also say this. As at the time the House of Assembly members, when the governor reached out to them, I maintained and I insist.
And that he was going to present the budget
That he was going to present the budget on Wednesday. Even if there were no formal communication and you saw the notice. You people were in government together. You were together, served one master, worked together for 8 years. Nothing stopped you guys from reaching out to say, look, Wednesday is not convenient, but let us, if you want us to meet at a more convenient place outside of the state, we can meet for the sake of peace. Everybody start holding on to for the sake of the ordinary people. This one will say for the sake of ordinary people. So both parties, it was obvious that both parties were not ready to shake their sword. Ego was at play. And then now it's like, two litigants who are dragging a cow while the lawyer is making it. So that's basically what has happened. And it is bad. Seriously, it is bad. I disagree with the demolition of the suspension of the democratic structures. I would continue to say it. But I also agree that the parties did not help matters at all.
So Nelson, if you can hear me now, we're talking about the elders. So what do you expect from the elders going forward? Because whether we like it or not, these elders, played a role in escalating the conflict in Rivers State and bringing us to where we are today.
Well, the situation we are in today is one that we must admit the fact that the elders failed the people of Rivers State. And in view of that, the gladiators will be very worried in not playing the elderly role that is expected of elders in any society by taking side. So for these elders to want to mediate in the crisis now that a state of emergency has been imposed will be a very tall order, because parties on both sides will not have the confidence of these elders talking to them, because they knew very well on which side the elders were when the crisis was on. So I think we'll call on elders in other parts of the country to also add their voice in making these gladiators see reason. And again, I want to disagree with laborers. He said the governor reached out. No, laborers. The governor had a window for peace through the Supreme Court judgment, and you expected him, to show some humility. But the governor refused to come down from his high horse, because his utterances alone shows that, this was a man who was not ready to make peace. So those attempts you saw him trying to do were just showmanship.
I completely disagree with Nelson. He can draw conjecture, but for me, facts are sacred. What I'm saying, I did not say the governor. I didn't say I won't blame the governor in some part. I blame him in some part. Also, I blame the members of the House of Assembly.
All sides have their faults.
They also have their fault. They share their fault. The governor, the governor had opportunity to make peace. Like I said, the first opportunity was when the president, resolved the issues. And from what we gathered was he asked that his supporters should not be victimized. But only for him to get back, and then he was now the one victimizing people. And insisting that the president had no power to dictate to them or resolve what, do what they did. And then after the Supreme Court judgment, and he said, I will study the judgment and then, do the needful.
And that he was going to study it.
And after they studied the judgment,
that was unnecessary.
Even though, when the copies of the judgment eventually came out, it was everywhere. He said they have studied the judgment and they accept the judgment. And some of us felt, well, you really don't have a choice in the matter. But still, he said, typically of politicians, we accept it and we're ready to present budgets. So whether it's showmanship or not, at the end of the day, the other party also ought to have at least extended an olive branch.
For the sake of peace.
For the sake of peace. I also, at some point, blamed the governor for not trying to reach out. And I said it on this program, and I said, the only solution to this problem is let the governor, and because I even said, I described the two of them as governor. Governor Rivers State Port Harcourt, Governor Rivers State FCT. Let the two of them lock themselves in the room and say, you know what, let us, for the sake of peace, resolve this issue. That the governor should reach out to Governor Rivers State FCT, yes, on Wike this time around.
But let's get one thing straight. I understand people talk about Wike, but let's not also forget that the lawmakers they also have their own grounds with the governor. I mean, we're talking about a governor who didn't pay them.
Yes, I agree with you.
Seized the allowances for a month,
it's not even about just
for
pay.
over a year. Did a lot of things.
Did you see that?
To get the speaker impeached, of course.
Did you see that edifice, the State House of Assembly that was pulled down? So for me, I blame the governor for doing all of that. But let's assume, like I said on this program before, let's assume that he was ill-advised. He didn't know the law, after all, he's not a governor. I even said it also that if I were the governor, I will sack my attorney general for misadvising me. But from the moment the Supreme Court judgment came,
yes, you would
I'm looking at the action he took subsequently, and he took action. I expect the other parties also to shift their ground. Let there be a meeting point.
So
parties, both sides have their faults.
Yeah, no doubt at all, no doubt at all. And Nelson, I'll just let you conclude on what you were saying, and then we'll wrap up.
Deji, when the Supreme Court judgment came, we saw the existence of the government of Rivers State in accepting that judgment, but because they didn't have a choice. The governor was even saying we are waiting for the CTC of the judgment, even from day one.
Well, it appears we still have a problem with Nelson. But just on a final note, Libros, on a final note, you're a lawyer. Do you think the governor's lawyers helped him in this course?
DG, I have said it copiously.
I'm not talking about the Attorney General even. I'm talking about even his lawyers.
I have said it copiously that the way we play politics here, even lawyers, you know, I said it on this program. I shouted my head out. I was called names, and I insisted that Section 109 of the Constitution is not self-executory. I even gave analogy of, I compared with stealing and
his
murder.
Senior lawyers kept insisting.
And so, but his lawyers kept insisting that it is self-executory. It is self-executory. And when the Supreme Court judgment eventually came, I won't blame him for saying I want to study it. Because also, as lawyers, we need to read the judgment to actually know the extent of your responsibility as far as that judgment is concerned. So, but I blame his lawyers also. They should share in this blame. But one thing, in all of this now, at the end of the day, he's alone. Because whatever has happened, we can only disagree with the federal government, we can disagree with the National Assembly, but he's the one whose tenure has been suspended. He's the one who will sit back. I just pray and hope that he would sit back and look back and tell himself that I wouldn't have allowed these people to lead me this way, and henceforth would not allow anybody. It's a give and take thing, you know, because in the first place, once you agree to play politics with these people, it's either you agree or you say, no, I no go do at all. And you maintain your dignity. The moment you begin to whine with the wine and dine with perceived devils, and, you know, so you also play the game with them. It is like some people, you know, because there are no right, there are no wrongs there. It is some people, it's like people who went all out to loot. People say you loot ballot box or you steal mandate, as the case may be. And then sharing becomes a problem. You now want me to take side with one against the other. No, certainly not. You know, so when we look at this, it is because they are quarreling now that we're even hearing their voices. Yeah. If they were not, you will hear that they all drink champagne and drink spirits, you know, the comfort of their bedroom and award contract, and nothing comes out of it. But so I think this should be a lesson to politicians. Now, you're seeing the crisis in Benue between the governor, the state chief judge, and some members of the State House of Assembly. I think we should avoid all of this. This is not what politics is all about. Even though there should be challenges, but we should stop bogging our courts with, you know, matters that can be resolved. And at the end of the day, we turn around to blame them.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. And earlier we had Nelson Akujimi. Unfortunately, a network would not allow us to continue with him. Libros, thanks a lot for your contributions.
Always a pleasure.
And thanks for coming on the show. All right, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Don't go away. Opinions are free. Facts are sacred. But truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
When you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon route, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible. A future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it. Use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues. Welcome back. Now, the price of petrol in Nigeria may go up again following the suspension of the sale of petroleum products in Naira, as the Naira for crude talks between the Dangote refinery and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited now appears to have failed. Well, oil marketers have now declared they would seek alternatives. The decision implies that marketers of petroleum products who want to buy the product from the Dangote refinery will now pay in dollars, which will consequently lead to an increase, likely now lead to an increase in the pump price of petrol across the country. Don't forget, before now, Dangote had been selling the product in Naira because it gets, of course, crude supply from the NNPC in Naira. But with the suspension of that deal, with the suspension now by Dangote just because it's not able to get crude from NNPC in Naira, then there's likely to be problems. Now, according to reports, the Naira for Crude Committee had last week met at the Ministry of Finance headquarters in Abuja to assess developments and reaffirmed commitments to the policy framework. The NNPCL had then presented a crude delivery report detailing the volume of crude oil allocated for domestic refining under the policy. Now, however, the talks did not lead to further crude supply in Naira, which made the Dangote refinery announce that it would stop petrol sales in the local currency. Multiple sources from the Federal Ministry of Finance and the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources have now confirmed that the Technical Subcommittee on the Naira for Crude Policy should reconvene on Monday, March the 24th to deliberate on the matter. Well, it's a very huge problem if this is not resolved as quickly as possible. Well, joining me now to look at the implication of this is Femi Oladile, who is an economist. Femi, thank you very much for coming on the program. This is not the kind of news we expect to get at this time. Dangote has said he's suspending the sale of petrol in Naira, and it is going to be dollars henceforth. So, which means marketers who would naturally go to buy from him, and, you know, majority of our marketers in the country actually buy from the Dangote refinery now, they'll have to go and source for dollars to buy petrol from Dangote. So what's the implication of that?
That's a significant increase in demand for dollars in Nigeria. We should definitely, what I am advocating for is to use what we have to get what we have, which is Naira. Unfortunately, this is happening, and it means that there will be significant pressure on forex demand, because petrol is like the soul of transactions in Nigeria. It affects transport, it affects infrastructure, it affects food, it affects many things. And so, since it's a significant need, we might be seeing slight changes in the price of petrol, I mean the retail price. And this is significant on many fronts. Firstly, we understand that that increase would affect the rate, which has been relatively stable over time. Secondly is that Nigerians are perceptive. The fact that we already understand that this is happening, even when the effect is not yet a reality, we would presume that it's going to be a significant reality, and would already be making provisions for it. So even people that are not affected by this would already be saying, oh, Dangote is no longer selling in Naira. And so we would definitely also not sell in Naira. I mean, that's significant. It's a significant drag on the demand, which we have been trying to stabilize in Nigeria. And I don't think that the CBN is able to keep up with the demand at this time.
Now, let me ask you this. Look, Dangote has been selling in Naira, before this suspension. And then because it gets crude supply from the NNPC in Naira, even though we understand it pays the dollar equivalent of that's the dollar equivalent of the Naira now. But you look at it, we've had some kind of relative or some semblance of stability now, just as you said, in the forex market. Yeah. So if nothing changes, let's say there's no change in the price of dollar, so to speak, are we still likely to get some kind an increment now in the price of petrol if nothing changes?
Okay, so basically theoretically nothing should change. But like I said, many times we are perceptive. We would presume that it will change, and so definitely to affect the market. But if theoretically we say the exchange rate remains at 1,500 to a dollar, that means that normally, if we have available resources, we are supposed to be able to meet that demand. But that's not the significant case, because what it means is that those who want to hoard and get cash out will definitely do that, and there will be artificial scarcity. And with artificial scarcity, no matter how the government tries to keep it in place, then things would go south. And so I don't see how it's going to be stable if we throw that whole demand into the market, I'm not sure that it can remain at 1,500, even if the government tries to make it remain at that.
And I think I agree with you, because it's difficult to see how demand would not drive up the price. But so can we say, Femi, that with what is happening now, that we're basically back to when we were importing petrol? Because even though we're getting from Dangote, the truth is we're going to be getting it in dollars. So are we back to that era?
No, we are not back to that. No, I don't want to say we are back to that era. I would say we are close to that era, not back. Because during that time, we did not have an alternative. Now we have an alternative, which is a local or a Nigerian refinery. Back to that era would be when we are totally dependent on imports. And there are many things associated with imports. But we are producing in Nigeria, and Dangote can decide, because I believe that they have the bandwidth to take some shocks and then decide to, for example, during the fasting, they made a declaration reducing the price in line with the fasting to make it easier for people as a kind gesture to Nigerians. But we are not back to that era. I think we are just close
now the reason
to that
I asked
era.
that question
I
is
hope
because
that
yes, the reason I asked the question is because, I mean, since we are going to be buying the marketers are going to be buying in dollars. What difference does it make from importing the product?
Okay, so some of the costs are still local. Some of the costs that we have at the Dangote refinery are still local. They are not foreign. They are not forex denominated. So we still have that leverage. And like I said, Dangote has grown to an extent where they have the bandwidth for shocks, just like MTN. MTN at a point around 2023 to early 2024 were making losses, yet they kept the pace. And so I believe that Dangote also has bandwidth to absorb those shocks. I think the reason they are protesting is just to make Nigerians aware that something is going on and you guys need to do something. And that has been working for Dangote over time. So I would say that we are not back to that era, but we are close to that era.
Well, we understand the technical subcommittee on the Naira for crude deal now would be meeting on Monday. So how important is it that they revive this deal and get it, renew it and get it to work? Because, look, we're talking about Dangote. We understand there are about 30 or 25 modular refineries in the country today. And all these modular refineries do not even have crude at all. They don't get crude from the Naira for crude deal, and they don't even get crude, even for dollars. And now we're talking about Dangote. So how important is it that this deal is renewed?
100% important, if you ask me. 100% important. And I also believe that they should, as an association, even be clamoring for the deal to be revived. It helps everybody. I believe it's a win-win situation. Even the country itself. I don't think that the short-term goal that the country wants to achieve by reversing or stopping, because they initially said for 6 months, by stopping that deal, makes any sense to stop it perpetually. Because if Dangote continues and insists on matching his sales with the revenue and the purchase of crude in dollars, that would have significant implications. The retail price is likely to skyrocket, and that's not even good for the economy. That's not even good for politics. It's not good for the government. So I don't think anyone stands to gain significantly if this policy is not brought back. It's very important that it's brought back. It's a great policy for everyone.
And my next question would be, look, how does this encourage investment, for instance, in the refinery business? If refiners set up refineries and they're not able to access crude in a country that is considered, the top producer of crude in Africa. So you set up a refinery here,
I believe that everyone investing in the oil and gas sector already have a significant knowledge of the risks involved. And so they cannot say that they are not aware of those risks. We know that Nigeria has sort of mortgaged future crude production in the past. We are also aware that we are unable to meet our quota, our production quota, let alone giving to refineries, especially the modular refineries that we have around the country. So I believe that they are aware of the risks involved in their business. But what I am significantly minded about is what will happen if we insist that they should get crude with dollars. It's going to impact our FX, it's going to impact production, it's going to impact retail price, it's going to impact food, because transport is going to impact so many things, and it's not good for our economy. If the government is serious about achieving the $1 trillion economy, then this is a policy in the right direction. I think that we have not reached the point where we can take this policy off the table. I'm not saying that the Naira for crude should continue perpetually, but that's my desire. But if the government would want to reconsider it, I don't think that this is the right time to reconsider it. I think we should leave it for a while again, considering that we don't want to bring back subsidy. And this is helping generally every stakeholder in that environment to contribute to the economic well-being of the country.
Femi Oladele, thank you very much for joining us on the program, and thanks for your thoughts.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Enjoy a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, that's how much we can take on the program. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
J'ai le virus de planter des arbres. Ça me plaît beaucoup. Ici, c'était un dépotoir d'ordures ménagères. Du fait que les villageois ne savaient pas qu'est-ce que c'est que l'importance de la forêt, ils prenaient leurs ordures et les déposaient. En ce moment, je leur ai sensibilisé de leur dire que l'arbre doit vivre comme nous, donc il ne faut pas salir l'arbre. C'est ce que nous a donné l'impact positif pour avoir ici un périmètre pour cultiver. Le 2 mai 2005, on a allé voir les eaux et forêts qui nous ont attribué 500 mètres carrés qu'on a initié. Intégrer les femmes dans un AGR. Et avec ça, on a choisi le maraîchage. On était à 3 hectares, mais on ne cultive pas sous la haute tension. Et on nous a déguerpi et on est à 2 hectares.
Si on fait travailler ces femmes dans cette forêt, c'est pour qu'elles prennent également soin de cette forêt. Non seulement ça permet de fertiliser les sols, mais ça permet également de les autonomiser économiquement à travers la vente de fruits.
Tous les arbres fruitiers que vous voyez, c'est nous qui l'ont planté. Chaque citronnier, on y récoltait plus de 60 kilos.
Merci beaucoup. Que ce sont des dames très dynamiques, des dames très braves, qui subissent de plein fouet les effets des changements climatiques. Nous, on vient en rescousse pour informer, pour sensibiliser sur des solutions, la promotion de bonnes pratiques. Pour les cas pires, c'est également l'apparition de nouveaux parasites. Et ça, on le vit ici au quotidien et un peu partout au Sénégal. Ça participe également à la dégradation des sols. Justement, c'est la raison pour laquelle nous, on essaye de trouver comme solution prioritaire aujourd'hui le reboisement massif dans les périmètres maraîchers avec des espèces qui sont répulseurs aussi.
Nos projets d'avenir, si les femmes l'acceptent, on veut faire un projet de pépinière dans les alvéoles pour alléger les travaux.
La femme est à l'image de la terre. Ce sont des vrais écoféministes qui sont là, qui sont engagés pour la protection et la préservation de l'environnement.
La forêt, c'est nous et nous, c'est la forêt.
Kids in Edo State. Age limit for presidential candidates progresses at House of Representatives. And EFCC declares socialite Aisha Achimugu wanted for alleged money laundering. It's a pleasure to have you join News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Joy Uchejim. We begin in Edo State, where at least 7 suspected kidnappers were set ablaze and killed in a mob attack in the southern town of Uromi in Edo State. The governor disclosed this on Friday. The governor, Monday Okpebolo, condemned the mob killing of the individuals, pledging that those responsible will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Okpebolo said preliminary investigations revealed that the victims, identified as Northern Hausa hunters, were stopped by local security while traveling in a commercial truck. A search of the vehicle uncovered guns, triggering a mob attack by residents who accused them of being kidnappers and Fulani herdsmen. Okpebolo further added that 4 persons have been arrested for their involvement in the incident. And in Kano, the State Command of the Nigerian Police Force has banned all Durbar activities during the 2025 Eid al-Fitr celebrations, citing security concerns and the need to maintain public order. The Commissioner of Police, Ibrahim Bakori, announced the ban during a press briefing at the Bompai Police Headquarters on Friday, emphasizing the importance of ensuring a peaceful and secure environment. According to CP Bakori, security assessments indicated growing tensions and potential threats linked to the event. And in other stories, a bill seeking to bar persons above 60 years of age from contesting presidential and governorship elections in Nigeria passed the second reading at the House of Representatives. The bill, sponsored by Ikegwago Ugochinyere, a People's Democratic Party House member from Imo State, aims to amend sections 131 and 177 of the Constitution to review the qualification of a person seeking election into the office of the President, Vice President, Governor, and Deputy Governor. The proposed amendment also seeks to raise the educational requirements to a minimum of a university degree, requiring candidates to have earned a bachelor's degree in their chosen field. If this bill should be passed into law, President Tinubu, who will turn 73 on Saturday, will be unable to contest in the 2027 general elections.
A bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to reduce the lengthy period of determination of pre-election petition matters and provide for the establishment of pre-election tribunals and pre-election matters and regulate the process of suspending a member of the National Assembly from legislative duties and for related matters. Second reading. A bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to provide for the change of simple majority in elections of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the state governors and for related matters. Second reading. A bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to review the requirements that qualifies a person to be elected as President and Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, governors and deputy governors of states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and for related matters.
The ayes have it.
Now joining me on the news to discuss the proposed bill seeking a 60-year age limit for presidential candidates at the House of Representatives is political affairs analyst Jide Ojo. Thank you for joining us, sir. Now, what do you think are the potential political consequences of this bill for major political figures like President Bola Tinubu, Atiku Abubakar, and Peter Obi, given that it will disqualify them from the 2027 presidential race?
The truth is that the House of members are just grandstanding with all the bills that are passing second reading this week. Many of the bills have no substance. It's just a kind of I think they just wanted to catch media attention to have it as part of their CV that they sponsor X numbers of bills. How where in the world is there an age limit for you to contest election? There is minimum threshold. There is never a maximum age. Even in US, assuming without considering that US has that kind of law, do you think someone like Donald Trump will have ever been president, both in his first and second tenure? Do you think someone like Joe Biden will have been president? Do you think someone like Ronald Reagan will have been president? Do you think George Bush Sr. and Jr. will have been president? So these people should just stop wasting taxpayers' money. They are not serious with the quality of bills. How could you say once you are 60 years and above, even in civil service, laws are being reviewed to give civil servants 65 years retirement age. I think for teachers now, it's 65 years in secondary school and primary school, and then 70 years for university professors. So where is Ugochi Nyerere getting his own ideas that he thought the Senate will concur? Many of them who are even in that House of Reps, the average age of many of them is that 60 and above. Let alone when you talk of the Senate. Do you think half of the Senate members will have been there if there's a age limit of 60? And, I don't know why the guy is just kind of, even the other one that is saying minimum educational qualification of 60 years of first degree. Research has found out that your education is not just Western literacy. Education does not mean that if you can only communicate in your local language, that you are not educated. For God's sake, we should stop this whole, making a governance or election issue to be issue of being bookish. The law is very clear. Even where you do not have university education, the law says you can that if you want to make contributions in the assembly in your local language, the assembly should find an interpreter for you. It's in the Constitution. And we have found out that even when professors and doctors and people who are bookish, when they are in government, what is their impact? They are just idealists. Many of them do not have field experience. They don't have practical experiences.
Okay, my apologies
I
for
don't think
cutting you short,
many
sir.
of the bills that are passed second reading this week will not make it to the constitutional alteration. I can bet
sir.
you. They are just very, permit me the use of word, sexy on the surface, but lack substance. And there is no research baseline that informed the sponsorship of these bills.
All right, my apologies for cutting you short, but now on the off chance that this bill actually passes into law, how do you think this age limit bill will affect youth participation in Nigerian politics?
Well, I'm not too sure that it will affect youth participation. Don't forget, we already have minimum threshold, which has been lowered since 2018. Where if you are 35 years and above, you can actually you can contest for governorship, you can contest for Senate, 25 years can contest for House of Reps, and state 25 years can contest for House of Reps, Chairman of Council, and even councillors. What I think this will encourage more people who are of middle age to participate in politics. But I totally object to having ceiling.
All right, okay, due to lack of time, that's much we can take, but thank you for letting in your thoughts. Political Affairs Analyst Jidejo, thank you. Now, moving on to stories, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has declared businesswoman and CEO of Fela Concept Group, Aisha Chimugu, wanted. The agency spokesman, Delo Yewole, made this known in a circular released via the EFCC's X handle on Friday. According to the EFCC, Achimugu is wanted by the ED in an alleged case of criminal conspiracy and money laundering. The agency had, in a letter, summoned the socialite to appear at its Port Harcourt office on March 5th over alleged money laundering and a high-profile investment scam. President Bola Tinubu has joined fellow Muslims at the National Mosque in Abuja for a special prayer session for the nation ahead of his 73rd birthday, which is set for Saturday. Tinubu revealed this while speaking to newsmen on Friday, urging Nigerians to join the prayer session in spirit by reinforcing a nationwide commitment to unity and shared destiny. The president also expressed gratitude to Nigerians for what he did as their unwavering support and goodwill as his administration works tirelessly to advance economic reform, strengthen national security, and expand opportunities for all citizens.
Feel good, feel happy. Thanks to Almighty Allah that has protected us so far, to answer prayers, accept Ibadah. That is key and very important for us. A prayer for our country to stabilize, keep in peace, and safeguard our people, all the citizens. The word for all of this is hard work. You work harder, you pray harder. And that's the inspiration that I got from all of this. We thank God Almighty that at this stage, we are in it.
And as Nigeria grapples with food security challenges, experts warn that neglecting agricultural education could have severe consequences. They remain hopeful that these institutions can drive innovation and economic growth with better funding and policy support. The Executive Secretary of the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria, Garba Sharubutu, highlighted the government's prioritization of food security through various initiatives.
What I want the government to take note of, you see this Uncle Borrowers, if they had each of these provosts here to say, give us them of your committed and dedicated, as you observe, and give them that Uncle Borrowers money. Who are the best HN students you have, nominate 10. Those who are committed, or maybe 20. Go to Duna 20, Owerri 20, Oji, Ebu 20, this 20. You put this together and give it attrition of 50. Let us say 50 are going to disappear. You're going to end up with 50% to your trade.
Encouraging participation in agriculture. Nigeria's culture is still dominated by subsistence farming and an farming population. After being the ages of 60 years old, this reality underscores the urgent need to attract younger generations to agriculture. College culture and institutes must play critical in fostering agripreneurship and equipping students with the knowledge and skills necessary to establish successful agricultural enterprises.
Knowing that demand is visible, our colleagues are not visible enough. Visibility commensurate with how important we are in the agricultural policy implementation in this country.
It's now time for Game News now. Real Madrid's coach Celotti to face alleged tax fraud. We'll give details shortly.
Opinions are free, access sacred, truth is universal.
How, in practical, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
When you go into big office, you must let your answer to the people.
And the chat,
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, fact, non-diluted truth.
I believe what people have said in God.
The new Nigeria is possible, a football.
With the issues, dissect it, but you can understand it. Use it to take action.
I don't need for any governor to look for grant for grant.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Welcome back. Here's our top. At least 7 suspected kidnappers were south of Romi in Edo State. This on Friday. Monday, Okwebulu climbed them up.
By Senator representing Ogun Central, sale of the cement manufacturer, which described critical national assets contributing to job creation, industrial growth, and infrastructure development. During the said deliberations, Afolabi implications of foreign ownership, raising concerns about local content, control, and national security.
Also, set to sell is 83.8% stake in Lafarge Africa to China, who are in a deal that values Lafarge Africa at $1 billion, a deal which is to be finalized in 83% stake in that has less than 70.6, and you have to sell it. If you want to buy it, you put yourself together. To take over somebody's shares.
Now, the back to market dates with us. The idea of the last weekday of trading on the Nigerian Stock Exchange Over 544 million shares were exchanged in 13,237 deals, corresponding to a market value exceeding 19 billion. Now, when this is compared with the previous NGX trading day, which is Thursday, the 27th of March, today's data shows a 28% improvement in volume, a 111% increase in turn, and a 16% rise in deals. The trend is reversed as all our selected equities, UK and UK's feet on the foreign exchange market. The Naira remains volatile against currencies, currently trading at 1,550 Naira per dollar, 2,020 pounds, and 1,690 Naira per market. That's it on business updates. Back to you, Joy, for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Victoria. Capital of Bangkok, thousands of miles away from the earthquake. At least 144 more, where groups have warned damage is significant in hard stations. Another 130 were injured. For the first time in Nigeria's sports history, archery has been introduced as a sport in a national or regional competition. 2025 Southwest Games, currently taking place in Lagos, made history with the debut of the sport at the Teslim Balogun Stadium. Players and fans have welcomed the move, citing its potential to increase youth participation in sports and diversify Nigeria's athletic landscape. TV360's correspondent Sidney Okafo reports.
The most anticipated West Game 2025 officially kicked off at the Bola Johnson Arena, featuring wide sporting events, athletics, basketball, boxing, table tennis, volleyball, and traditional games. However, the highlight is the historic ing of archery, a precision sport, strategic thinking, and accuracy. At the stadium, over 50 young archers for Southwest skills, captivating spectators with precision and technique. Many of the young athletes describe the sport as both mentally and physically demanding, emphasizing the discipline and concentration required to succeed.
Shooting like this now, as you think of all the possibilities. If your arrows are going one way, I want it to go a different way. Interesting, and I love it.
The Southwest Games, a multi-sport initiative aimed at fostering community, youth empowerment, athletic development, has continued to expand its reach across the 6 states in the region: Lagos, Ondo, and Ekiti. The event expressed optimism that the introduction of archery will lead to increased investment in sport at grassroots and professional levels, inspiring people to take up the sport while also positioning Nigeria for
create this opportunity and leave Lagos State government with behind. This is our facility complex of Lagos State government. It shows a demonstrative dedication of the state government in terms of creating infrastructure that are suitable for different sporting engagements.
We have 5 states represented here. We have, if not more, of these states. So what it means, go back to feeling accomplished, and this will spur the development of archery in their individual states, and then we will see ripple effect eventually.
Across 4 major venues, there is approximately 1,200 participants and 120 officials. Say Okafo, TV360, Lagos.
And legendary coach Carlo Ancelotti will allegedly failing to declare income to Spain's tax office, the Madrid court, which we hear the case said on Friday. Prosecutors are seeking a jail term of 4 years and 9 months for the 65-year-old Italian of having caused